Waking.
That's your penance for hitting 1,000, Chuck.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to turn that off, I think. I mean, it's not like I'm getting rich, the 13 cents I get a month. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. We've got Roy, Joe, Jeffrey, David. So, all right. So, say hello to everybody, fellers.
What's up, everybody?
Hello,
Hello,
gang.
everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Nick and Wayne and Woody, and Mr. Wolf.
It's Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live. That it is.
No, it's not Sunday.
Well,
Sunday morning,
there are those that it is Sunday, isn't it?
Crooked camera.
All right, Mr. Wolf's in the house as well. Woody, Wayne, I know you already rattled off all the names. Jeffrey, but Luke, and don't want to forget Nick. Nick's been in here for a few minutes. He's been in the chat for a few minutes. All right, so I picked a topic tonight. How you doing, Ted? ATR Bear.
Hey,
I picked a topic that everybody should be able to speak to. What's your favorite thing your favorite thing in photography is blank, whatever it is. This should open up a whole lot of conversations. Gustavo, how are you, sir?
there he is.
Our Laura Moore, arriving liking. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laura. Albert Jimenez, hello to all. Hello, buddy. All right, so everybody's streaming in here now. All right, so the topic is my favorite thing in photography is blank, whatever it happens to be. Well, I'll start off with you guys. You guys want to start it off with your favorite thing in photography? What is it?
I like the technology, but that's not all, though. It's only a small part of it, I think.
Yeah.
People are probably the best and worst part of it.
Yeah, it's like anything else, when it's great when it works and it's awful when it breaks, right?
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. So how about you, Joe? Your favorite thing in photography is?
Definitely not gear, but it's capturing a moment in time that means something or changes something.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that's the most important thing to me.
Capture the moment.
Yeah.
How about you?
And do it honestly, That's
Yeah.
That's what I like.
How about you, Jeffrey?
Well, I think it's changed a lot as I've gotten older. Now that I'm retired and the kids are grown up, I think I'm at that point in my life where I'm just trying to enjoy life as much as I can, enjoy new experiences, capture special moments, see things that I never had time to see before when I was raising a family and working. And it's just therapeutic. I think if I had to pick one word for me, it's therapeutic.
All righty. David.
Well, I like to get out and experiment. It's every so often I'll see a photograph that somebody produced, and I try to figure out how he did it, and I'll get out and do the same thing. Like some of the stuff that I've done, it takes 6-8 hours to expose from the left side to the right side, and I've done that, and I've done a fair bit after dark, and I've been experimenting with that, and also my full spectrum. So I treat it as a great big experiment, and if I get some good results, that's great. If I get out of the house, that's great. I have lots of fun. Well, that's great too. So, and I don't see a downside to it, because with an experiment, what do I got to lose? I haven't broken anything yet.
That's right. Absolutely. For a lot of people, it's just being outside. For me, I can add that to my list of things. My favorite things about photography is I do enjoy that. I used to do it for, like you said, Jeffrey, therapy. Back behind my house with the waterfowl refuge, I could go back there and sit for hours. And like I think I've said many times, my wife would ask me, what I took photos of or whatever, and often I'd come back and say nothing. There really wasn't anything, but it was just being out there. I think though my favorite thing is when I come across a photo that I taken and it's different than everybody else. I enjoy that moment where, and they're really, it's hard to do nowadays. I mean, we've seen about everything under the sun as far as photography goes, but sometimes you get that one photo that's just a bit different. And, you know, for me, that's really enjoyable. We've got quite a few people over here already talking in the chat, and
Lee's enjoying his Z9, and he's got the 24 to 120 and the 100 to 400. And I agree with you that they're amazing lenses. They're fantastic.
Yep. Absolutely. Six String Brian, hi folks. Chris Street, I already talked about your comment. Great show idea. Thank you very much. Wayne, he says, Nick, that's one of the reasons I consider getting one, but the Z8 works better. Oh, so I guess he's talking about the Z9. George Robinson says gear. Nothing wrong with that, George. You
He is more interesting these days than it ever's been. But
Yep.
in the past, a camera wasn't that important. The lenses were what was important with film, and now everyone just goes on and on about cameras, and it's still not the most important part. Lighting and that is more important.
It's hard to pick any one thing and say this is the most important thing, isn't it? I mean, as far as photography goes, but I hear you, Roy. The camera's a part of it. The light you have available to you is a part of it. The lens is a part of it. The location is a part of it. I mean, there's just so many things that, you know, is a part of photography.
And the company you spend it with.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Rakesh says being outdoors.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
I'd
people
like some more of that.
I think a lot of people will agree with that. Just being outside. I mean, that's basically what I said a minute ago.
When did you ever get out when you were working, right? You were stuck in an office for 8 to 10 hours a day.
or whatever you were doing. You're right. You weren't enjoying taking photos. That's for sure. My favorite thing is
I was in a studio. That's by yourself. I think I've gone a bit strange.
Laura says, seeing the finished photo, the photographer's artwork. Yeah, and you know what? I enjoy looking at other people's photos too. I'd consider that part of the photography, you know, part of photography as well. John Drummond from Queens. How you doing, John? Good to see you.
What's up, Kevin?
Kevin, how are you? Are you
getting a little hot by that fire or what? I mean, I'd be sweating. Yeah.
Which lens do you have on there tonight?
What's up?
Which lens do you have on there tonight?
The Sigma 16 1.4.
Okay.
I'm using my just crop sensor M6 Mark II.
Okay. It almost looks like you need to de-squeeze it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, no, I need that lens to take a picture of me. Man.
I either need the funhouse mirror or I need something to make me thinner with a camera, one or the other.
How you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, Kevin.
That's good. That's good.
I'm gonna get your 10 cents worth on my favorite thing in photography is here in just a second. Nick says his favorite thing is how happy people get when taking their photo and showing it to them. So yeah, absolutely. Taking photos, showing what you've shot. Russell,
most socialism thing I do, I not socialism, but social, you know, is getting to be with like-minded people.
Yep.
You know, and just having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about this so many times. It's so much different when you get together with photographers, vice trying to get together with photographers on YouTube, and then it just goes array sometimes. Russell says it's marrying the technical with the creative. I can see that too. Trying to use the technical to be the creative. Cool.
Well,
I've got no creative or failed art.
Thing is, too, every time you go out, you realize you very well have the opportunity to capture something you've never seen before in your life.
Or may not exist in the future.
Yeah,
that's true too. Yep. I mean, all these things, it's really hard to nail it down to one thing for anybody, I'm sure. But I mean, I thought I'd pose the question, and it'll open it up to a whole lot of discussion about a lot of different types of photography, with everybody talking about what their favorite thing is, whether it's a genre or something else, more emotional even. Landscape photography for George Robinson, relaxation, meditation, fleeting moments. Absolutely, George. I think a lot of us are saying the same thing. Nick's talking to Wayne saying, I'm sure the flagship will get an update. Yeah, it's going to get an update. No doubt about that. I don't know when, but it won't be left behind, the Z8. Long Rider. Wow. Thank you so much, buddy. Always. You're a great dude. I wish I could get you in here on the show. One of these days, man, I'm going to tempt you to get you in here. Long Rider shoots an A9, by the way. And yep, and he loves it. And but he's not a hater in any way, shape, or form. He liked he talks about Nikon glass. Really interested in the Nikon glass, what they've done with the super telephotos and different things. But we don't care what you shoot, Long Rider, as long as you're enjoying it. That's the big thing, man. Thank you for the super chat, though. I really appreciate it. Wayne says, capturing life as it occurs, street photography or other. Yeah, that'd be great. Just to capture a beautiful scene. All right. So got it. John Drummond says, my thing is being outside in nature, trying something different, either in the field or in post, and realizing it just might work. Yeah. Yeah. That's it too. When you stumble across something, a new editing process or something, it makes you extremely happy. Or you figure out how to get the most out of your photo, even though you're not going to manipulate it, so to speak. Yeah, it's a good feeling. Ted says, I agree with this one too. Favorite thing is getting that difficult shot just the way you envisioned it in your mind. I think Joe would go along with that too. Joe, you see what you want to shoot before you even put the camera to your eye, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of times.
In your mind, you've already got an idea of what you want. And then
When
it's just a matter
something I can control. Yeah. The wildlife stuff, man, that's up to luck and being there and being ready.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell an animal, oh, turn your head this way.
Well, yeah, that's what's interesting. If you're doing like Chuck, if you're doing stuff in the studio and you're doing portraits and whatnot, you have such a level of control.
Yeah.
And Joe, you take the time to really look at all the details and set everything up the way you want it, position a person exactly where you want them.
Spend 10 hours
taking
taking
one shadows and everything, and then but then there's other photography, whether it be sports or wild or birds in flight or whatever. You're at the mercy of what you're at the mercy of just trying to get that exact moment in time.
Lay down.
You don't have a lot of control.
No, and that's why I like so
control.
many different styles and types of photography. You know, the photojournalism stuff fascinates me. These guys who go to these crazy places and immerse themselves into the culture and the surroundings, no matter how difficult or dangerous, and what they're able to come back. It shows you a whole different slice of life.
A lot of them died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like hearing when we have John Ishii on. It's always cool.
Kevin, your favorite thing about photography or in photography is what?
Oh man, probably what a lot of the other guys in the either on the panel or in the chat are kind of saying is just more or less the experience, just being out in nature, connecting with Earth and kind of getting away from all the BS and just the stress of life for a short moment of time, and guys, just kind of just finding that joy out there, I guess, and with your camera.
Yep.
Good night, buddy.
I guess if I had to sum it all up into one thing, I would say it provides me photography. The number one thing is it provides me peace. And
Right.
I mean, even when you're shooting an event or something like that, it still does, because I don't know, it just takes me away from the world.
Right. I guess if you're a professional and you're getting paid full time, well, then the answer will be the paycheck.
Yeah.
So it'll be the paycheck.
Roy says yes.
Hey, Roy, are you missing the big bucks coming in or what?
I'm missing it, but not the work.
Yeah.
I'm probably 85, 90% retired now.
And
It's nice to be able to take photographs of what you want to take, not what you have to take. It's a real relief.
Yeah.
I was going to say congratulations to Lee. He was back and forth between the 8 and the 9, and he just decided he was going to go with the Z9. So far, he's been extremely happy with it, and the glass. And you picked two great lenses there to start with, Lee. Nothing wrong with either of those lenses. Our Laura Moore, Miss Laura says, a photo is an unspoken conversation. The photographer shows you a specific viewpoint of whatever they were taking a picture of. Yes, and they've chosen that viewpoint or that perspective because it speaks to them. Now, the big enjoyment, the real thing that's enjoyable is when other people can see what you were thinking when you chose that perspective or that composition. Makes you feel good. It's like, yeah, I captured exactly what I wanted to capture. That came about in your photo the other day, Joe, when we were looking at it. The lady off on the trail or the bridge or whatever it was, the walkway through the swamp. Everybody had a different idea, but I think they all came pretty close to what you were talking about. Maybe not exactly, but
yeah.
Because several people said, where do I go from here or something like that?
Yeah, and I like the ones that you just don't quite know,
Yeah.
The path to nowhere.
It makes you think about it a little bit longer, I think, sometimes when you see an image like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. I'm like an image jukebox, man. I look at so much all the time, and I love looking at pictures.
I do too. And again, that's what I enjoy about our monthly review. And again, I really didn't want to do that. It has nothing to do with other people's photos or anything else. So far, we've been very fortunate that we don't have any run-ins or any stupid people or whatever that want to come in and bash or whatever. But that was the only reason that I was concerned about having a photo review. Somebody wanting to get on and tell somebody else how they should take their photos or whatever.
Oh, it's more like a photo share, and that's what makes it better. Right. Because it's the one thing I used to hate when I would go on certain forums is that and some of them I left. I would leave and maybe not go back for a couple of years because I got tired of the more experienced photographers really beating down people that you knew that were just starting out.
Yeah.
And would ask a question, and it would be like, because they felt they were up here and that person's down there. It was like, why are they asking such a stupid question? They'd get on them hard and really beat them up bad. And all that does is to make that person feel like they don't want to do that anymore. I mean, it's not encouraging someone to do the hobby or make a career out of it someday and learn, and I got sick of it. I would just leave. I says, I'm not participating in this stuff.
Yeah, it's no fun when all that starts taking place. Yeah. So I understand there is a place and time or a purpose for photo critiques. And for those that want to do it, I think that's fantastic. But it just sometimes it gets out of control, and it kind of leaves the person feeling like, well, why am I even trying? And we don't want to do that.
No, and those people seem to forget. They once picked up a camera
Yeah.
and,
We all started at the same place.
yeah, and sucked for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
other thing is, it's easy to be the armchair quarterback and see somebody's
Oh, yeah.
photo, and when you didn't take it, and you can look at it and say, well, if you did this and if you did that. I think sometimes we forget that's a lot of it's based on our own taste too. It may not be something that would even improve the photo. I mean, there are things that, and critiques that could improve a photo, the composition and things like that. But yeah, and that just brings people down, especially if somebody. Yeah, I'm not saying you got to run around telling people if they've got a terrible photo, you got to tell, oh, that's beautiful, that's fantastic, that's wonderful. I mean, you just got to be able to handle those situations. But anyway.
Well, you got to say that's a good first effort, and here's some suggestions that you could do to make it better the next time.
Diplomacy,
constructive criticism.
Yeah. Well, and there's always the thing about who am I to tell somebody their photo is no good? Am I such an expert that I can pick out, all the little details and do that? Where's my portfolio? That's what I'd want to see if somebody said, well, where's your portfolio? Well, I really don't have one. I've got Flickr page or, whatever. But yeah, anyway, so far our photo reviews have been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. And I think it's inspired a lot of us to try something different. Nick said, I shot an original format baseball game today. They were wearing historic outfits or uniforms with my 500 millimeter. That's where I saw the Z9, but he has a small lens on it. Okay. So I guess you're carrying on a conversation. Sorry about that. I know Lee's in the chat. And Lee says, I should have read this first. Chuck was a huge help in mastering the focus system. Thank him for that. Yeah. Lee, I don't know. I was helping mastering it. That would be a long shot for me to think that I was helping you master anything. But yeah, I don't mind helping out. I'm just glad you're happy with it. Local experimentalist UK. This is different. Hello, Earthlings.
There you go, Joe. Maybe that's what you saw.
All right.
So Mr. Nanu.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I can't do the Spock thing, unfortunately.
Robert, I like Robert Varner's answer. I got nothing. That's great. That's great, Robert.
Just don't use the term my kids used when they were growing up that used to infuriate me, when they would just, whatever you said to them, they would just say, whatever.
Whatever.
Could be worse.
I'll give you a whatever.
So he does go on to tell us, though. He says, what I like about my camera is I can stream live protests. Okay. All right. Especially if you're a photojournalist, I guess, that's something
That's what
cool.
digital started, streaming everything live.
Yep.
It's actually fairly easy to post your pictures using SnapBridge as you take them.
Yep.
SnapBridge.
There are still people that are having problems with SnapBridge.
Well,
problems with it, it ties up the phone.
The thing that I don't like about SnapBridge is that it is really buggy. It should work an awful lot better than it does. It works better on the Z8 than it does on any other camera that I've found. But it just hogs the battery. And if you're ever taking pictures in a place that you maybe shouldn't, and if you're using SnapBridge, you knock it over to your phone and then you post it to the web, and then when the guy is talking to you about you shouldn't be taking pictures here, you just engage him in a couple of minute conversation. By the time that's over, they're all posted.
I guess that's one way to look at it. That could be a positive or a negative, I guess. Yeah.
And then when he says, delete them off your camera, well, you delete them off your camera, but they're still in the cloud. You don't tell them that.
Yeah, local experimentalist UK says we're going to call you. We'll just call you local UK. I've done over 300 plus. I guess that's maybe protests or photojournalist like things. Cool. Albert says he says the first aspect of photography that I like is interacting with the subject. Okay. Second, I am an optics geek, and I will attest to that. He's got some crazy lenses and the ability to couple them with cameras with adapters. It's really cool. Let's see who enjoys collecting a wide range of lenses, and I love it. I love it for you, Albert. You know, that's something you enjoy. I love hearing people that have something that they enjoy. I really do.
It's funny that I found is you over time you become your own worst critic of
Yep.
your own work, because I could go back, if you say, let's just say you started to take a different genre of photography that you hadn't done before, and you decide I'm going to really get into macro photography, and
Yep.
let's say you fast forward 4 years from now, you're going to look back at what you took the first 2 years, and you're going to throw them all away.
Yeah.
That's how that works. You're going to say, I can't believe I took such crappy shots,
I think we all do eventually become our own worst critic. I know my wife tells me that all the time. You're such a perfectionist. Well, I don't see myself as a perfectionist at all. However, her complaint is that I take too long. It looked fine 5 minutes ago, she'll say. And she has no idea that there's some people, and maybe here in the panel and in the chat, that edit a photo and put it away, come back the next day just to see where they're at, take a second look at it, and start all over again. I enjoy the challenge and possibilities of new captures of opportunities every day. Gustavo, you're a great photographer, man. We all love seeing what you come up with. And Lee says anything that brings one happiness these days is a blessing. Amen. I agree with that. And if it's photography, good on you. Z Wade, favorite thing, the print, because if I'm willing to print, I consider it really good. There you go. All right. Cool. And you get to look at it all the time afterwards. Let's see. Man, I'm getting so far behind. Nick says he's seen some sick A9 photos. Me too, Nick. There's a guy over in AP Studios group on Facebook, Leon Kilbride. He's constantly dropping photos. Well, he uses not just the A9, but he has an A9 as well. Yeah. My American Morning, another new name. How you doing, sir? The most exciting thing in photography for me is being in the local wildlife parks and something happens right in front of me that I didn't expect. Oh, yeah, that's all of us. Absolutely. Yeah, the unexpected. And somebody mentioned that earlier, but you're right, especially if you're out shooting wildlife or birds or whatever, and the unexpected happens. That's a big deal.
It makes for a good day.
Yeah, it does.
I'll tell you a quick story. My friend and I, neither one of us got it on film. And I don't know. Well, I don't want to say I don't know that I would have wanted to, but we were walking through the woods, and we were in an area that at one time was open up for like Boy Scout camping. And so there was, trails in there that you could walk through and whatnot. So we're walking through, and we're just, poking around, seeing if we see any owls in there or whatever. And then we see like a cardinal. I think it was a cardinal, and we see it land, in front of us a little ways, and it happened to be just in the sun. And it starts the minute it flew and landed there and started eating some seeds or something. a hawk came down and grabbed it and took off with it, and that was the end of that bird. And I mean, we both looked at each other like, did you see what, we're like, holy, you know what, it's like, it was like you just blinked and this bird just flew out of nowhere and grabbed that cardinal, and you heard one awful sound out of the cardinal, and that was it, and it was gone.
Wow. Hey, John,
I mean, you never forget it. You don't. I didn't capture it, but you don't ever forget it.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's something for all of us. I think we see more than we actually capture most of the time. It's a shame we can't capture it all. John, sorry to hear you're not feeling well, brother. Get well. Hope to see you next week.
I just say put a USB port in the back of my neck with a hard drive in my pocket or something, and then every time I blink, I take a picture. That would work for me.
Yeah, that's how far behind I am. The cat took over the channel. Yeah, he does that. He takes over everything. But he's big enough that he can. All right. So Laura says, "Oh, I hear a kitty." He's a pain in the butt. He wants to go outside, and I'm not letting him go out because I don't want to be out there 2 a.m. trying to find him again.
I just leave them out until the next morning, and then they'll catch on after you do that a couple of times. Either they'll stay out or on their own or whatever. So
just do the old ET thing where you would just, instead of what was it, Reese's Pieces, you just do your M&Ms to lure the cat back in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about be running around.
Yeah.
That's why the cat's so jumpy. It's on a sugar high all the time.
I just had to take my dog out, man. Nothing says love like number 2 in eye contact.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Randall Brander and Mozman's in here too. Sorry, Mozman. I'm just not getting down to all the comments, buddy. I think Moz, you've got a invite. So does Randall, if you guys want to join. This super exciting topic, but we're going to pick it up here in a minute. We got to get this moving, and I'm the one that needs to make sure we get it going here. Finding all the accessories that I misplaced, taking off the camera. Yeah, lens cap, camera cap, shoe cover, etc. So to fix this problem is put it in your pocket. Yeah, I'm still looking for a SD card that I bought for my Z8. It was sitting on the desk, and I have no idea where it is now. I think the cat took it just to aggravate me. But yeah,
it's all organized.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to keep moving down the list here. Nick says, I have a new vision of my favorite photography, eating pizza while everyone stares at me with a camera in their hand.
There you go.
Hello, VN Labs. Good to see you. Moving on here.
You're getting some new people in here, Chuck.
Yeah, we've got quite a few. Yeah. While we have the new people, don't worry, I'm not going to beg you for subscriptions or to subscribe. You'll do that if you want to. However, I always go back to, I enjoy the likes. Anybody that's in here, if you enjoy the banter, the back and forth, the ability to share your opinion in a live stream, then hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. I really do. That's what motivates me to keep going here. Even when I'm sitting here thinking about, oh Lord, what are we going to talk about the next live stream? Because I usually, Roy calls me all the time and asks me to talk about gear, but I just can't.
Oh yeah, right.
Another disappointment.
Roy could start a conversation in 2 seconds. He just has to turn around and grab something and show it in the camera, and we're off and running.
Seraphin just got in here. Greg Wilson, I see you, just got in here. Seraphin said, just back from Hollywood Studios in Orlando. Wow. Has that changed much? I'm sure it has since the last time I was down there, which was 19 years ago almost. Wow. Yeah, John Drummond says there's an art to critiquing without being critical. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
It's good to teach people the next step.
What was that, Roy?
It's good to teach people the next step from what they're doing now.
Yeah, you know what? And it's just one of those things you can ask them, do you want me to tell you what I think or whatever? And I think that's probably a great approach too, if you want to offer an opinion or something. And most people will say, yeah, absolutely, because they want to progress in their photography. No doubt about that.
David Moots is threatening us, guys. He says he'll be done with the house remodel and be back next week. Next weekend he's done, and then he'll be back. Is that a threat or a promise?
I hope he's going to be back. We've missed him. You know, the one thing about David is he's selfish, though. He didn't loan us his animals to put out in the field and take photos of.
He might have forgotten what a bird looks like now. He's been, so busy working on the house.
He's got stuffed owls at the house that he props up in trees and takes photos of. Who you kidding?
Well, he's going to have to dust them all off because after all those house renovations, they're probably all dusty and whatever.
For those of you that don't know David, we're just making fun of him because he takes fantastic wildlife shots.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal photographer.
And the animals listen to him too for some strange reason.
Yeah,
they do. Sith, hello, Sith. How you doing? Van Lee's in here. You're not late. You know how it is here. We go on and on and on. So it's join
on and on and on.
Yep, and on and on and on and on. Yep, sometimes.
Hey, Roy, I got a question for you since you've been making some comments about SD cards.
I hate them.
What is your opinion of the Leica Q3 still using an SD card?
Pointless, isn't it?
It's like the camera is so phenomenal in every other way, and then that's the Achilles heel.
It matches the handle. You wind it up at the back, though. I don't like SD cards. I've had too many failure just at the wrong time. Most SD cards are just those micro SD cards in a different package. If you pull them apart or run over them with something, accidentally, of course.
Of course.
Just throw them through the wood chipper when you don't want them anymore.
I've still got a jar full of failed ones.
Seraphin just ordered a rectilinear corrected 6mm lens, trying to get that X-pan effect. So how do you guys feel? I'm not a real super wide lens person.
I like ultra wide, but
6mm, is that like a fish? That's got to be like a fisheye lens or something, ain't it?
Sounds it, doesn't it? I haven't seen
It's linear, so it's
really
it's not
I've
a
only
fish.
seen fish eyes in 6.
It just goes left to right for miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Pano does the same thing. Do several shots and just stitch them.
Well, I've got an 8 to 15mm zoom, and I've got to watch it when I'm taking pictures with it to keep it horizontal, or else my gut and my toes are in the picture.
Yes.
Wow,
I've got the 8 and I've got the 16, but not the same lens.
I will tell you that I do see photos sometimes taken with ultra wide lenses that I enjoy. I just don't, and I'm not knocking the lens or the focal length. It's just, I don't know that I would use an ultra wide enough, or I would overdo it and then drive people crazy.
I like the look, the way it adjusts all the perspectives.
A rectilinear, though, wouldn't be as bad. So I'm curious.
A very wide lens.
Seraphin, you got to share some photos with that. I'd like to see that, because that's a very wide focal length for rectilinear.
That's a beast.
Yeah.
And the harder thing too is the wider you go shooting,
the harder it is.
Anyway, the harder it is to get that composition where it looks good being so wide.
Yep.
You got to have that foreground interest. You got to have, it's a lot more difficult when you get real wide.
I'm wondering if the Laowa is crop sensor only in 6mm. If it's a crop sensor, probably equivalent to a 10 millimeter in full frame,
Yeah.
which is pretty common.
Yeah. But, you
When
know,
I shoot 8 millimeter on my full frame, it's if I shoot the night sky, I've got the horizon all the way around.
Mm.
You know, and I got to make sure that I keep my head down, and when I'm shooting straight up, or else it'll be in the picture too.
I love that lens.
Yeah. And I've been using it on my full spectrum, so it gets some really interesting results.
Sith says, uh-oh. Roy's
See,
gonna,
he's hiding as he manipulates something on the other side of that chair.
That's the one where it's a fisheye.
hang
Hey,
on,
Chuck,
Roy.
Roy could be your
Yeah,
sponsor.
that big bulbous front element. Oh yeah.
Show it to us, Roy, now that you're,
That's it.
That's
wow.
great. That's great. You know, that almost looks like a floodlight bulb.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a color filter for black and white as well, built in.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Any bigger, and it look like a plunger head.
Yeah.
Those are pretty
I
cheap,
love this
aren't
lens.
they?
It's got a real look to it.
Those
But it's
are
only fisheye.
they're
That's
pretty
crazy.
cheap and easy to get a hold of, aren't they?
This one's several $1,000s.
Take care, Wayne. Have a good one.
Yeah. Have a good one, Wayne.
Wayne's taking off. I'm so far behind. All right, Wayne. Yeah, if you come back, join us. We just had Mr. Randall Brander join us. Randall, how are you this evening?
Hello, Randall.
Randall, I can't keep up with all your driving videos.
You must really like driving.
The other night, you said you were going out for a coffee, a latte, or something. So I dropped my order in the comments.
Well, I saw that and I said, "Where's he talking about?" Then I realized what it was. It was good. It was well worth it.
All right.
Well, the one shot, besides finding your accessories that you misplaced, I love sunsets or sunrises, and it's
Yeah.
get that perfect shot. And that
Yeah,
makes it very happy.
for anybody that wants to know what your camera looks like mounted on the dash of a vehicle out driving around at night or even during the day, just go to Randall Brander's channel. I'm telling you, you'll see how well the IBIS works and many other things. And it's not just any one. I don't care what brand you're in. Just go through the 250 videos that he's got up, and you'll find your camera. I guarantee you.
It's now close to 790. So
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Busy man.
if you want to know what your camera can do as far as a dash cam, but really to see how it handles light and night and daytime, he's got a bunch of videos, and here's a good opportunity to go see just how your camera's reacting to that stuff. And I'm really impressed with some of them where I typically wouldn't have been had I not seen it over on Randall's channel. Hey, Joe's got to go. Mr. Joe Stroud's got to go. Joe, appreciate you being in here, man.
Yeah, it's good seeing y'all guys.
Yeah, have a good evening, Joe.
I can tell you're a bit tired. Sorry we couldn't liven it up enough to keep you awake, buddy.
No, man, it's just been a long day. I just
That's
thought
all right.
We need Peter Gregg on here.
I'd get on here for a little bit.
Hey,
Yeah.
Joe,
How
you
you
got to take those images you were talking about pre-show and send them to NASA
Take care,
Jane and
Joe.
see what she thinks of them.
Yeah, I'd like to know what it is. I might put them on here one night. See if somebody can tell me. So have a good night, fellas.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Take care. All right. All right. So let's see. John Drummond said, image critique is like seeing someone in the gym doing an exercise wrong. Either say, dude, you're doing it wrong, or gently saying, would you mind a suggestion? Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's right. Absolutely right. I mean, you deflate somebody by being aggressively critical. I mean, that you may just take somebody right out of the game. You know, they'll just never pick up the camera again. And what's the point of that? Just if people that do that, I think, are just too high of opinion of themselves. You know, you can word things in a way that you offer some advice without insulting the person.
So it's a funny habit.
Yeah. Van Lee says, I started learning photography because I was going through a difficult time in my life, and I found that the process of taking photos unexpectedly had a calming effect on me. Kevin, you talked about that in some of your videos.
Yeah, without getting too deep into it, but yeah, I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder from combat from Iraq and Afghanistan. And so that picking up a camera ultimately is exactly what Van Lee is saying here, is that it becomes more of a therapeutic thing instead of other alternatives to try to put Band-Aids over it. Now, of course, it doesn't completely take away things, but it just helps you cope. It helps you get through a lot of things, and kind of helps you forget for a brief moment in time, just kind of everything else. So.
And I got to tell you that it does have a calming effect on you. I mean, a lot of times, I'm not talking about going out and trying to shoot sports and things like that,
right?
Because
right.
You're so hyped and going, but especially when it comes to like some wildlife photography. For me, again, I can go out and sit in the back. I can sit out there for 3 hours, never see anything to take a photo of, but that's okay because I just enjoy being out there, listening to the birds and listening to what's going on and things like that. It just lets me slow down, lets my mind slow down.
Yeah, makes your mind slow down. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. When I go out with people that I know and we'll say, oh yeah, it was a slow day or whatever, which you have many of, and we'll say, but it was still a good day. You know, a bad day. Well, a bad day of photography is still a great day.
The only time there's a bad day is when you don't go outside, when you don't go out to shoot.
I mean, it just it just refocuses you on something that is just puts you in a different place.
Right.
Puts you in a different place.
He goes on to say, later, I gradually fell in love with photography. The greatest pleasure that photography brings me is that it allows me to observe the world with more care and attention. Yeah, it does. And that's basically what we were saying a second ago. It lets you slow down. It lets your mind slow down, everything slow down and take it in. I don't know why it does it, but it does.
Well, you definitely become more observant of the world around you because you need to be very observant in what you're doing with your camera and how you're composing things. So in turn, even when you don't have the camera in your hand, you see things. Like I'll see things. I will be driving in the car, and my wife shakes her head all the time because I'll say, "Did you see this? Did you see that?" She says, "I didn't see anything." I'm like, "You're not very observant, are you?" You know, and I'll flat out say that to her. You know, because it's like I'll just see all sorts of stuff as I'm driving. Oh, did you see that old
camera does?
You know, I'll say, did you see that old rusty pickup truck over there sticking out of the woods? No, I didn't see nothing. Oh, did you see that?
Would have made it. That would have what? That would have made for a great shot. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like
I used to do that, but I don't anymore. I used to, she's seen me doing that, staring at something off the highway or whatever. What are you looking at? It's an old barn, it's just, it never fails. It's perfect light when you happen to be passing it. You don't have a camera. You can't stop. You can't take a photo.
It is crazy. It is crazy. The more you're aware of your surroundings and like what you're paying attention to after you start photography, because even when you don't have your camera and you're not planning anything and you'll be driving, like you see things you normally would overlook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's weird.
And I think now I rode a motorcycle for a period of time, and you have to be very alert riding a motorcycle. You always have to be looking ahead. You got to be anytime you're on a road and you got other streets running into that road, you're always trying to avoid the accident that you could be in, So you just get used to being more aware of everything, and then that carries through, when you're taking pictures too, because you got that. You got that wired in your brain now, and you just kind of do that,
But isn't that true of all of us that are photographers? Whether we're good or bad, doesn't matter. Everywhere we go, we're always looking for a photo.
Yeah.
Whether you have a camera or not. I mean, even though you have your phone, but you're always looking for a photo op. I'm kind of a people watcher person because I like people that, are just different or for whatever reason. And and I'll tell my wife, we go somewhere and I'll see there'll be a lady that has just absolutely beautiful, phenomenal eyes. And I can't not see that.
Is that before or after you watch it?
That's why I tell her, and she knows it because I enjoy portraits, that I'm always looking at people that way, for portraits. I ought to start asking some of these people if they'd like their portrait taken.
See, Chuck had hair like Fro at one time, but his wife hit him on the head so much now it's kind of just leveled off.
Yep. Hey, Van Lee, don't worry about your English, man. You're welcome here, no matter how you get the point across. It doesn't matter, brother. You're more than welcome to be part of the community here. But I'm glad Chat GPT helps you out, though. That's good.
Well, one thing that I found is if you go out with a prime and you go for a walk in a certain area and you go out the next day with a different prime with a different focal length and walk in the same area, because you're focused on what you can shoot with that focal length. Mm-hmm. And if you have 4 or 5 different primes, like I've got more, then I'm not as bad as Roy. And
I resemble that.
And you go for a walk and you see totally different things each time.
Roy has more 50 millimeter lenses than I have lenses, period.
Yeah, David, I have to agree with that though too, especially in like niches like street photography. That's huge in street photography, like going with one prime one day, going with another prime, different focal length the next day, and like your local towns and doing street photography. Yeah, that definitely challenges you.
Yeah, I find it's the same way with landscapes.
Or even landscape, yeah.
And then sometimes you try to shoot the wildlife if you can, if you're lucky enough to happen to have something that may work. It's the other day I was out and there was 2 antelope and I had a 105. Well, it sure bet using my fisheye, so I was lucky. I had Anita and I were out and we took 2 lenses, a 105 and I had my fisheye.
I like the fisheye for some uses, but you don't want to use it too much.
No, it's the last time I had it out before that was years ago. But in the last month I think I've had it out 3 times. But the lens correction for it on Photoshop, man, does it ever give you some weird results?
Yeah, John, last year I had a sharp-shinned hawk that was stalking my bird feeders out back. Never could get a photo of him though. He'd come in long enough to hit the tree and sit long enough looking for one of the birds, waiting for one of the birds in an ambush position, but never in a position where I could take a photo of him.
Camera shy.
Yeah, he was. Yipper.
Chosen by Design. Welcome. You finished your honey-do list, and he's on with us.
All right. Just realized I did not press the like button. Thank you very much, VN. That's the only thing I ask for is the likes.
Yeah.
And for those of you who want to dislike, make sure you hit it twice.
Yeah. Before I even go on, I open up a different window and I click the like before Chuck's even at his microphone. But then if the show's bad, I go back and I renege it and I pull it back.
Right.
Here's an interesting comment by Van Lee. He's talking about, I've realized I need to develop a sense of identity with my city in order to focus on a particular aspect of it. However, I'm still struggling to do so. If you some of us may live in a very photogenic city, and we don't even realize it. I'm not going to say everybody has that particular luck or whatever, but that's something I haven't thought about, documenting the city, because we talked about this a while back. I see old photos from my hometown of places that are no longer there. And, you know, I guess because I was thinking, man, I'd love to be able to go back and take all these photos of all these locations that I knew when I was growing up and everything. But you know what? I could be doing the same thing now and just archive them. You don't have to share them with anybody right now. But especially if you're in your hometown, that's a great idea. You know, go out and shoot.
I've always wanted to do the same photo from the same spot each year and just have a comparison.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy. I never get around to it.
Yeah. I mean, some people make a point of going to certain areas, especially if they live where they have all 4 seasons and they take the same scene, you know, for all the seasons year after year after year, you know, just to.
Most of Australia only has 2 seasons.
Yeah.
hot season, the dry season and the wet season.
I'm seeing more pictures where people are taking family pictures every year. And you start seeing people that way or whatever. But I love it. You know, when they were young and they had long hair, and then now they're bald, and it's excellent.
Bald is beautiful, baby.
I know.
I gotta get a lollipop so at least I could do a Kojak impersonation once in a while, you know. Crocker.
Jose Mello says he just got his Z800. All right. Great.
Impressive lens. They're going to do a 600 version of that too, I believe.
You see, that is the lens that may capture my attention, the 600 PF. I've always wanted to see. I don't know why, but I'm probably gonna have to go that route if the 600 PF does ever come out. I'm probably gonna have to get one, and it may force me to go out and shoot with it, because why buy it if I'm not going to shoot with it? I know everybody says
600 F4, but it's just so much money for what it is, and it's so heavy and bulky. And
yeah,
I'm going to stick with the old one, unless they bring out PF version.
Yeah,
I love the 400. I never thought I would, but the 400's nice. Tiny, light.
The 400 4.5?
4.5, yes.
Yeah.
It only focuses down to 2 meters. It's not like the 100 to 400, but the autofocus is fast and it's very sharp. Yeah,
Woody, he's in one of his other studios relaxing rather than being sitting in front of talking about your audio, Randall. It is a bit low.
The 600's overdue. Sick of waiting for it.
Yeah, Lee says as soon as that becomes available, in a previous comment he made, is as soon as he hears that thing's ready to come out, he's going to click the button right away.
Pity it's going to be variable aperture.
Yeah.
Caesar's just not getting to you. All right.
Yeah, Craig, that is the 400 4.5 that Roy just held up, and it is sized rather nicely.
It fits in the camera bag, which my 600 doesn't.
All right, Nick, man after my own heart. I love composing portraits in low light. Me too, Nick. I like dramatic lighting, period. But I'm just a weirdo, so. Joe Mac, he says we have 5 seasons here: spring, summer, fall, winter, and tundra.
I miss the desert. I used to go out the desert a lot, and most of Australia is desert, but I miss that much.
Van Lee, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you. Again, I always appreciate these only because it helps me pay some of the bills for, the streaming. It's not super expensive, and I'm not asking anybody to pay for it, but I really appreciate it when you do. So thank you very much, sir. Today I took a 24 millimeter, Greg Corker talking here, 24 millimeter, and couldn't get close enough to the sprinklers in the afternoon sun that I stopped to take a picture of. Yeah, I was going to make a comment about that a minute ago, Greg. I'm glad you brought that up when talking about taking a prime out and walking, and then maybe the next day changing that prime. Now you kind of understand, or people may understand, why I like a zoom. I'm just a zoom fan. Now, I'm not going to try to tell you that it's better or as good as primes. It's not, but it's what I like. The 24 to 70.
If you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, the 24 to 70 is my go-to lens. I haven't shot with the 24 to 120.
That's good lens too.
Yeah, I know as far as resolution and everything else, it's a fantastic lens. And I'm not going to say that f4 is too closed down for me, but I do like the 2.8 24 to 70. I really do, because it just covers just about anything I want to do. And you're not going to get much better as far as, aperture goes than that for that range, that focal range. So yeah, because my fear is I'd go out with a 24 millimeter lens and everything I want to shoot would be beyond.
I like the 24, but you need to plan your shot more.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt. I like what everybody's saying. It forces you to look for things in that focal range. I agree with that. But being the petulant child that I am, as Andy Miller would say, that would aggravate me. But if I went out the next day with, let's say, a 100 millimeter lens, I guarantee you everything I found would be in the 24 millimeter category. It just would be that way for me. That's just the way it is. So, yeah.
Well, Chuck and Greg, there's you got to be careful when you do this. It takes a little while to catch on and to adjust your eyes to how to do this.
Yeah.
And so you got to be looking for different things, because it like some days I'll go out with my 500 and other days I'll be out with my 8 millimeter.
Yeah.
And then I'll go all the way in between. But more than half the time I take out a zoom, but it forces you to think a different way. And then before too long is when you go out and you say, oh, I see that. This is the lens I need, and then you get it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're absolutely right. And I sure wouldn't want to disagree with anybody talking about taking a specific focal length out and making you adjust to the focal length that you have available. I agree with that. And it would probably open up more photos for that focal length for me, thinking, okay, now I'm forced to do this. Now I've got to find photos that fit into this focal range. I agree with you, but again, that's why I used petulant child, before for describing myself. I want to be able to get whatever I want, and I don't know. Anyway, it's just me, and I think people that do that are it's great.
I think zooms have a purpose, especially in like wildlife. When sometimes you can't. Yeah, it's sometimes where you can't zoom with your feet. You know what I mean? And the wildlife comes too close to where a 500 or 600 wouldn't be able to, match that. But it has its purpose, especially if you're hiking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles out. I mean, who wants to do that with a 600 prime on a tripod? You know what I mean?
I sold my 800 for that reason.
Yeah.
Well, I was out with my 800 and the gimbal today, for 4 hours, but it didn't really bother me. It's I'm still young, not quite as young as you, Kevin, but I'm still young and to get out and get some exercise
yeah, for sure.
And one of these days I'll just put heavier stuff in my pockets.
I think airbirds are too big for the 800.
I'm still paying. My feet are still tender from Friday walking out to a jetty off the beach where I go, and the distance from where I enter the beach area to the jetty one way is about, I don't know, 1.7 miles one way. And it was low tide, so I'm walking on the packed, wet sand. And my friend had an e-bike, so he rode ahead, and we had walkie-talkies. And he says, well, he rode ahead, and I says, well, if there's nothing there, just tell me to stop walking, and I'll start walking back, and because you're going to catch up to me in about 2 minutes. So he rode out, and he says, hey, I got a couple of this or a couple of that. And I go, okay, I'm going to keep walking. So 20 minutes later or whatever, I show up. And so we got some good pictures. We got some pictures of some minks, because the minks like to go out to the jetty because the fishermen go out there. And then, a lot of sometimes they'll clean their fish right there, and, they'll leave scraps behind, and the mink will eat the scraps. And so we got some pictures of some minks, and then going back, he takes off on the bike. I'm walking back, and I'm seeing a group of pelicans coming at me. So I'm stopping, taking pictures. Got some ospreys diving into the surf, so I'm taking some pictures. And I'm like, oh, he's going to be waiting for me forever. So I'm trying to walk. After I took the shot, I'm trying to walk really, really fast. Well, by the time I got to him, I was dehydrated. I was... And when I got home and went on the computer and went to stand up, I almost screamed because my feet were so sore. You would have thought I was walking on hot coals. And my feet to this day, here we are, more than 24 hours later, and my feet are still tender. And I'm like, I don't know why, but boy, I'm paying for it. But I told my wife, she says, well, I go, yeah, it was worth it. I don't care what you say. It was worth it.
There you go.
Sith says he wishes Nikon would come out with a 24 to 90 2.8 like what Leica offered.
2470 is close enough.
See, it'd be an optimal lens that covers a wide angle to portrait, or a 24 to 120 2.8. That is a lens that would interest me. It would. It'd probably be big, and a lot of people wouldn't want it for that reason. But that is a lens that would interest me, a 24 to 120 2.8. That would be my all-rounder. That would take the place of the 24 to 70. Not that it's ever going to happen. Don't get me wrong here, but.
Well, if they come out with a 135 f2 or something, or that'll get your attention.
Yeah, it will. It will, Jeffrey. Whether I get it or not will be the question. And I don't think that I will, but I'm really interested to see what that lens is going to look like.
Yeah.
Could that be the lens that takes the place of the 200 f2? Before everybody goes, no, it's legendary, and it's... Yeah, it may be, but we haven't seen what the 135 1.8 would be like. So I don't know.
Actually, you have. On my first camera, I had the R7 with the 85 millimeter, but with 1.6 crop, that's 135 millimeter at 1.8.
Field of view.
Yeah.
And it was brighter than these two. I'm having a light problem or something. It's real dark on one side.
Eclipse.
Yeah.
That's all right, Randall. You're allowed to have one off day at least with your video because it's always so perfect.
Maybe we should do it from the car.
You're
more familiar with it.
The trick is dummy battery, a 110 volt in your car, which I've never had one before, and you plug it in. Your camera won't die, but it will overheat. And you just have to know the warning signs and stuff. You don't have to have any stabilization because if you have great suspension on your car, it takes care of it. And the only thing I have to worry about is my little Fluffy, the microphone I've been using, a Video Micro, has this big ball on there. And sometimes it rolls around the dash, so I have to right here. And the other thing is I stopped because a guy ran the stop sign. I saw him, and I said, he looks like he's going to go. And I stopped. He took off, and I caught the camera. because the camera went, whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, see that? One hand. But
Put a proper mount on your dashboard or something.
well, I've been looking at those, but I'm not too happy about the windshield ones because
No, they fall off.
in the hot of Texas, they slip off. I just have a cell phone adapter, and it does it all the time. I've given up on that, so I found another place. But yeah, it's the heat and the weather is really affecting. I found the best spot for the Z30, which will never overheat. I have it on my overhead boom for product showcase table, and the ceiling fan keeps it cool. I did an experiment. It lasted 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Well, I can tell you from experience that the Z6 will go 10 and a half hours.
yep.
Yes, mine did too.
And if you don't believe me, just go back to that live stream, 10 and a half hours with a Z6, and it never faltered.
Well, Peter has the same camera. He first got it before they had the firmware update, and he says, "Oh, this is trash." And then a buddy of his says, "Have you tried the Z6?" And he says, "Yeah, I didn't like it." And he says, "Did you try it with the new firmware?" So he got one for me in his photo, and he bought one. So
Beautiful colors.
yes,
Lovely camera.
35 millimeter. Who's a 35 millimeter prime fan?
Not me. That's for street shooters.
Not for me either, but there are a lot of people taking portraits with 35 now.
I like the 80, I like 85.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
No.
I prefer to go to 24 or 28.
Yeah. I used to always, well, when I was younger, I couldn't afford the 24, so I always had the 28.
If anybody would like to join the panel, we got plenty of room tonight, folks. If you'd like to join, get in here and just sound off, have an opportunity to say it rather than type it. Just send me an email. Let me know in the chat that you sent an email to join the panel, and I'll send you the link and bring you in as well.
I picked up a 28 millimeter f1.8 Sigma for Anita for night photography. It hasn't been dark enough up here. We're too close to the land of the midnight sun, even though I'm in southern Alberta. And, but it is really nice and sharp. The only thing is she's complaining now that it's too heavy. And I've got my 1.8, and when I'm looking at my 1.8, I've had it for 12 years or 10, 12 years, whatever it is. And it's I'd like to replace it, but I don't know. The one I want is not on Nikon's roadmap, so. But I don't. I've got a 35 and I don't use it.
I know that there are a lot of 35 shooters out there, though. That's why everybody in the Nikon camp is so spun up about the possibility of that 35 being a 1.2. It looks like it will be.
One of them. I'd like the 135 more.
Yeah, me too, Roy. That interests me more than the 35. Yep.
Back in the 50s, most of the rangefinder cameras had 40 millimeter lenses.
Yeah.
That was the most common.
Yeah, mine does.
Anybody heard?
Craig C's asking. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but he's asking us if anyone knows if Small Rig has come out with the L bracket for the Z8 yet, or announced.
They got a couple of them. They got a couple of them, and they've got the cage too.
He says that he hadn't seen anything on their site yet.
Oh, they sent me a whole blurb of the crap stuff.
Yeah.
I like Small Rig, but some of their things are not as well made as others, but most of it's pretty good. Yeah. Certainly good value.
Here we go back to the 35 millimeter. Jonathan says it grew on him. He's waiting for the 1.2. Sid says
street stuff that it's a good lens. Apart from that, I don't know what I'd use it for.
Yeah, Sith says he'd take the 35 over the 50. I don't shoot the 35. I mean, I don't know. I have photos, I'm sure, that fall in 35 millimeter range within a millimeter or two on my zoom. Surely. I'm not a 50 millimeter fan. I never was. The only
I
thing
haven't been, but that new 50 is a stunner, though. That new 51 too.
That's the only thing that drew me to 50 millimeter is that 51.2. Yeah. And I jonesed for that lens, but again, I kept waiting for the 85. I'm happy that I did. I really am. But yeah, there you go. I mean,
the 50 to the 85. The 85 is good, but it's mainly portraits.
Oh, you can use it for a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, I know, but mainly.
Well,
that's what it's
true.
aimed at.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about this 85 is, for the first time, it's fast. I mean, in autofocus, it is fast. Something that other 85s weren't. So
it's got a very nice old-fashioned look to it too. The images.
Yep. So
it probably has two stepper motors in it. That's probably why it's faster.
I say I do own a 35 millimeter lens. I own the Sigma 35 1.4 Sigma Art. That's how much I use it. I forgot I even owned it.
I've got a 35 on my Hasselblad, but that doesn't count.
No. Nick says his favorite combo is 35 millimeter f2D on his D700.
A very good lens, but I'm just not a 35 fan.
Yeah. Van Lee says the 35, 40, and 50 are his sweet spots. That brings me to that 50 millimeter that Nikon dropped a while back, the plastic lens that initially a lot of people were laughing about. Man, everybody that bought that lens has fallen in love with it.
That's right. 51.8.
Yeah.
The 40 F2. The 40 F2 is kind of nice.
That's what I meant. The 40 F2. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 28 millimeter f2.8.
I found the 40's got one. It's a great lens, but it's got one small problem: aperture flicker.
Huh.
Apart from that, it's sharp. It's fast. It does me quite nicely.
Farrell says 40 millimeter for him. Are you a fan of that 40 millimeter that we're talking about, Farrell?
I certainly am.
Yeah, you talked about it a while back. I mean, you picked that up pretty quick, didn't you?
I did before it was released.
Yeah.
I think if you do street photography, like the one part he said here, he likes the 35, the 40, the 50. Yeah, if you're doing street stuff. But I mean, that's what I like about my 24 to 120. I mean, that covers anything I'd ever want to do in the street photography.
Yeah. Rakesh says his Sigma 14-1.4 for Sony is good, but very heavy. Yeah. That's a 1.4 lens. Why is a 1.4? Well, it's no heavier than a 1.2, but man, they are. It's just a lot of glass in those lenses.
A lot of correction.
Yeah. And Greg says,
a bit wide for street.
Greg says he find that's just it with the I have the 14 to 24 G lens, and I've used it a couple of times. You know where I used it? Car shows. Other than that, never got any use out of it at all.
Terrible mounting a filter to it.
I find my 14 to 24 is too heavy. I got a 16 to 35, and I have the new the Z mount. And usually when I got to shoot that wide, I use a prime. But that doesn't mean I don't have the zooms for travel.
Yeah.
They're only 2.8, but they're good lenses.
Yeah.
Greg says he's using the 35 1.8 more than his 24 or 50 now. So maybe that's just it. Maybe I need to do what you all were talking about and just pick up a prime and maybe take that 35, get it out and actually shoot it.
Is it on DX or full frame though? DX, you got field of view, same as a 50 roughly.
Yeah. I think he's talking about the Z lens there, 35 1.8. Maybe not. He'll tell us if he isn't. Sith says he's starting to use his Sigma 105 1.4 over the 85 1.4. I could see that, Sith. I have the 85 1.4 G lens. I don't like it. I bought it.
I never did.
Yeah, I don't like it. I really don't. So
Actually, the AFD was a better lens, but doesn't work on the Zs.
But the 85 1.2 that I have fallen in love with that lens, and I try to find a reason to shoot it. I really do. It's not a carry around lens, of course, but I guess it could be. But I just fell in love with it.
You just grab the lenses you want to
shooting
use.
full frame. Greg's saying he's shooting full frame with the 35.
Okay.
There you go. 2 fingers.
I just picked up a 105 2.8 macro the other week ago, so I'll be interested to take that out there and have fun with that.
Oh, it's a great lens.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using it yesterday.
Oh yeah,
That 105 macro is the best macro I've ever seen,
is it?
apart from some of the really expensive ones.
Right.
I've got 120 on the Hasselblad, and that's probably sharper, but not by much, and it's a lot more expensive.
Craig C says this might go against the grain, but anything below 85 millimeter is for groups or environmental portraits. You go, Craig. You go, man. That's why they make so many lenses, though. Everybody has their favorite focal length and everything else, which is great. Good for us, right?
If all you ever did was landscape photography, your kit wouldn't cost you that much money, really.
2 lenses.
Yeah. It's when you become the unfortunate generalist where you put yourself in the corner.
Van Lee says focal length for me is all about how much working space I have. I think that's part of it, but
That's the beginning.
but there is a different perspective, and with each focal length, so that plays into it as well.
And the wider, the bigger depth of field you get too.
I was always amazed with these movies, and I think of North by Northwest with
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant out there on the runway or on the road, and the plane that's landing or coming in to swoop down, and trying to figure out how they do that, make that plane look so close, because they're not putting him in harm's way. Well, that was in North by Northwest, wasn't it? Yeah. But that's just it. It's a long lens. The camera is probably, who knows, just as far from him as the plane almost, or nearly. But that changed perspective with that long lens to make it look like the plane's right on top of him.
Takes the background and pulls it in.
Yeah, the
You
compression.
used to have a 1200 to 1700 millimeter zoom lens.
Yeah.
That's got your name on it.
I got a wheelbarrow, so I've got a place I can carry it around.
If the lens gets so big, you have to mount it on the roof of a car.
Yeah, and Canon has one that big. Canon has a huge lens out there.
Did. Even bigger than the
You can go with
1200 to 1700.
You can go with the Sigma. What is it? The 100 to 500 or 600, 200 to 600, 2.8.
Yeah.
So it's a big green monster.
Yeah, is that is that a 1 to 300?
Bazooka.
Put that in your pocket.
Bazooka.
That thing's like bazooka.
Like, get ready, fire.
I think it's for like 24,000.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's
Chump change.
I think it's designed around
Right.
telescopes.
Oh man.
They're just exercises in showing off what they can do.
Right.
You buy 2 of them and you just do your workout in the morning.
Yeah, Nick, the 200 to 500 f2.8. Yeah.
The 40, you have to take my lens cap.
Jonathan says that's his walking around combo, that and the Z5.
Mm.
Craig
No,
says,
I have-
Go ahead, Brandel.
I have the 12 to 28, 28 to 75. It's the cheap 2.8 lens, very light, good picture quality. I fell in love with those two lenses because I take it everywhere. I also have the 24 to 120. I love that lens too. It's all in one. I have the 24 to 200. First one that Nikon came out with.
Yeah.
But I saw John Ishay's video, and I asked him, after watching this video when he picked up his Z8, I says, "That is the best. What were you using? What lens were you using?" He said, "I picked up the 26 millimeter." And I was going to write that off. I picked up the bad boy. Look how thin it is. It's just, and it's fantastic.
I just don't know that I could walk around with that lens all day long and be happy. I'm not talking about quality or anything else. Yeah. It's purely the focal length.
Goes on your second body.
But for street photography, it's perfect.
Yeah, it would be.
I'd be afraid I'd have to get too close.
No, you don't have to get too close. You can. That's why you have an 85 millimeter, but it's a big lens. So what is it? Boltrix or Voigtlander has a new 85 millimeter, and it's small.
Well, that's where the 24 to 70 comes in. For me, that's a street combo. I know I'm weird. I'm not going to preach to anybody that you should do it, but 24 to 70 is a great street lens for me. I enjoy, being able to go out to 70 millimeter or back to 24 millimeter or whatever.
More versatile.
Yeah.
I even use the F4 version more than the 2.8.
Yeah. I'm all about versatility. That's period.
I mean, to me, if I do street, that 24 to 120, you can't beat it, because if you see something of interest, say on the other side of the street from you, and there's, you don't want to be intrusive to people or whatever. So you could be on the other side of the street. You could zoom in with that 24 to 120. You can get a fantastic image, and you could do it and not be so obvious that you're taking a picture of somebody or whatever, because you're not on top of them. When you just got, if you're walking around all day with just the 24 or 35 or whatever, if you're just doing generic, buildings and stuff like that and Main Street USA, fine. But, when you want to kind of get a little bit up close and personal without getting up close and personal, the zoom comes in really handy.
Hey, Nick, I've never heard of Matthew Stern, but I want to check it out now that you mentioned it. Have you guys heard of Matthew Stern?
Yes.
Nick's talking about unusual photography lenses. So many of them create fantastic photos. That sounds like Albert.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right. Hey, folks, if you'd like to jump in here with us and chat it up with us, by all means, just check the description. The email address is in there. Send me an email saying I'd like to join, and I will drop the link and return your email and replying to you, and bring you in here as well. That said, it is time for a complete refill. And of course, my trip to the little boys' room. I will be back in just a minute, and you guys have a blast while I'm away.
Hey, Jeffrey. Hey, Jeff, I have a quick question about your 24. Was it 24 to 120? Is it?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about picking up the Canon version, which is the 24 to 105. How is that like weight wise? Is it like what's it compared to with whatever other lenses that you might have that are zooms? Is there anything else that you can compare it to? Because I'm thinking about picking it up for street photography too.
I mean, the 24 to 120. Let me get it quick.
Because I have a couple primes, smaller primes from from Sigma, which would work, fine too for street photography. But I'm looking into getting. What's up?
It's nice to have a zoom lens that does it all, isn't it?
Right. Because I don't want to carry 3 primes with me, even though they're a lot smaller and lighter. But it's not when there's 3 of them.
let's
Yeah.
put it this way. I've got my 24 to 70 f mount 2.8, and the 24 to 120, and the 24 to 120 is significantly lighter than my 24 to 70.
I don't know about the
Oh, wow,
Canon
really?
one though.
You know,
I can't remember it. Been too long since I used Canons.
I mean, but yeah, I don't know about Canons, but I'm sure.
Right.
24 120 is a fairly light lens though.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, it's very light, very light. I mean, it's this is it right here. I mean,
Yeah.
next to nothing, and it's just like for for street, unless you're doing really low light photography. I mean, it's not like it's an f4 isn't horrible anyway. Not
Oh,
with
no.
what you can do with camera bodies nowadays. 2.8 to
Yeah.
4. I mean, not a big deal.
One stop.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm holding the 24 to 70, and I'm like, yeah, this is starting to get heavy.
So I have the F mount Tamron, the 2.8s, the 24 to 70, and the 70 to 200. And I love that lens, but it's very noisy. But it was half the price of the Nikon one. So I picked those up. And then these started coming out, and I started grabbing them. And I've been using these a lot more than.
Oh, the Z lenses are stunning.
Yeah.
That's the main reason to go to a Z.
Time to sell the other glass there, Randall. Time to get rid of the other stuff. Because if you put them all on one shelf, what your collection's growing, your house is going to start leaning one way.
Yeah, I think mine does. Look.
Funny.
I better straighten up the camera so it looks better.
If you put your glass on your dining room table and it starts to slide towards your spouse, you got a problem.
Yeah, Jonathan says, I struggle using zooms. I tend to overthink and miss my shot. Primes are easier for me to compose a picture. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times
It forces you to think differently.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, your zoom is your feet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's.
Well, Thomas Heaton did a video comparing the 24 to 70 f2.8, 24 to 70 f4, and the 24 to 120 f4. Because I guess Nikon said that we're not going to give you any glass. You're going to have to buy it. But he had these 3 lenses from Nikon, and he had to decide which one he wanted. And he picked the 24 to 70 f4 because the size and weight, he shoots landscape, and he has the 100 to 400, and he wasn't worried about missing the 70 to 120 that he would, they're like that 70 to 100 that he would miss, because he found the 24 to 120, it was a little bit soft on the 120 end. But as far as 24
very, very minimal though.
Yeah, he was pixel peeping.
Yeah,
to see it,
Yeah. You gotta do that. You make a print, it ain't a problem.
Yeah. And if you're going to have it as a walking around lens, it's fantastic, because you only need 2, unless you want to go something wider than 24.
Right.
And I've got all 3 just so that I have it, but anyway, if I have a Nikon body that I'm walking around with, it usually has either the 24 to 70 or the 24 to 120 on it.
Yeah.
Depends if it's F or Z.
I can't see Canons. Like I said, the one I'm going to be getting would be the Canon RF 100 or 24 to 105. I can't see it being any less good than the Nikon's 24 to 120.
I think the Nikon Z lenses are pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat them at the moment.
Right.
There's a few bad ones like the 28 to 75 and and the 24 to 200 that I don't like, but most of them are really stunning lenses.
Right.
Well,
Well,
the thing is with the mount, what they did with the size of the mount and everything is as long as they do the design to the best of to take advantage of that as best they can. It's very hard for the other guys to match the quality because their mount isn't as big,
Hmm.
you know. So they're at a disadvantage from an engineering standpoint unless Nikon gets lazy and doesn't do their due diligence. But if they do what they should do, then it's going to be very hard to beat their lenses.
Yep.
It's just physics. It's just, you know, it's not that they don't know how to make good lenses. It's just that, you know, there's a little bit of an advantage there.
Hey, Kevin, you were talking about the 24 to 105 on the Canon side. Man, Lindsay Adler's been shooting with that lens for forever. She loves it, and
Really?
I know a lot of portrait photographers were using that lens. So I assume it's a great lens,
Right.
Built-in soft focus.
huh?
It's got built-in soft focus.
Okay, okay.
Accidentally, of course.
I've
Yeah,
seen
I'm just, kind of looking around just because I want to dabble into more street photography too, just to hone my craft. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do as far as lens selection. I mean, I got a couple primes, like I said, but I don't know if I want to carry 2 or 3 primes around.
Well, and the thing is, sometimes if you the thing with the zoom, it's just like with wildlife. Okay, sometimes, you know, if you got birds that are up against the bank of the shore or whatever, and then you got birds might be flying towards you. You know, if you're just shooting with a long lens over all the time, sometimes you can't back up and you can't get the shot of the ones that are closer. And that zoom saves your behind. You know, it just allows you to react quickly. You know, and even if you're doing street photography, I mean, you're not gonna have time to change the lenses sometimes.
Yeah.
Two bodies, 2 lenses.
well,
No dust in the camera.
shooting an event, I agree with you 100%, or anything like that. Yeah, I agree. 2 cameras. That's why I have a dual camera strap, because I have 2 focal lengths and I don't have to change lenses or do anything else. But that's just me, and that's just for, like I said, events or sports or something like that.
Yeah, I'll never carry two lenses for street. I won't even carry 2 cameras for wildlife unless I'm like in my vehicle and I'm doing like shooting from my car. I might have my prime sitting off to the side on a body and then a zoom on on another body. But
thank you, Juan, for the comment. That's what you get when you come to, excuse me, when you come to our live streams, is you never know where it's going to go.
Hey, you know what? We don't either.
That is so true, Jeffrey. We don't either. You're absolutely right. And that's the whole point of this channel is you guys direct the chat. I mean, we watch the chat and follow the chat. So
see, it's obvious that no one on this panel is a politician, because you'd have to have all your questions would have to be scripted so they could do the research ahead of time.
Yep, absolutely.
Lie about it.
Hey,
well,
Craig,
it all depends on the politician. We got a couple up here that they can go on for hours and not answer the question.
yeah. Hey, Craig, I fell in love with Black Rapid a long time ago. I like their single strap and I love their dual strap. It's very comfortable. And I don't know, I just got comfortable with carrying my cameras that way. I carry them, I have my hand on each camera, carrying them by my side if I'm moving around. I like the way they hang, from the center lug on the bottom of the camera. It's always ready to go, ready to shoot. And I never have a camera strap get in the way. Some camera straps do that, especially if they're connected. I'm not going to bust on Peak Design. So many people seem to love that. I don't like it at all because I do have a problem with the strap getting in the way sometimes. It's just a nitnoy thing, but I'm just a Black Rapid fan. Now we'll get into camera straps.
Hey, better that than jock straps.
Don't get them confused either.
VN Labs just ordered the Z24-70 f4S. It's a great lens. Again, if you're willing to drop a little bit of light, what is
This
it
is
about?
one now.
Yeah, there you go. 2/3 of a stop. I have that lens. I bought it as the kit with the Z6. Great lens. And I also bought the 14-30. So I do have a 30 millimeter lens at the long end. This is the 14-30 right here, right now. And I can reach out and touch the lens right in front of me. And I love this lens. I think it's a fantastic lens, which is why I'll never buy the 12-24 Z mount lens.
But I like fast glass.
Yeah, you know me, Roy. I do too. But I mean, considering what I do with this lens, I mean, right now it's just for streaming because the camera's so close. But yeah, I think it's a great lens. It's plenty sharp. There've been plenty of comparisons with it and other lenses. I think it's a fantastic lens.
Most of the lenses are very good, though.
Yeah,
very few bad ones.
Well, what I've been doing, if I want fast glass, I buy a prime, and all my zooms are f4.
Mm-hmm.
That's more specialized, but that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig, I'm never going to discount somebody had a problem with it, but I think the hysteria about I've never ever had a clip break on the Black Rabbit strap. I've never had. I constantly check to make sure it's just something I do, and instinctively to make sure it isn't unscrewing on me at the bottom. But I've never had one come loose either. Yeah, I'm telling you, I love the Black Rapid straps. I just like the way the camera hangs. Like I said, the camera hangs upside down, so it's so much easier to just grab and shoot, and the strap never gets in the way. And with the dual strap, it distributes the weight real well across your shoulders. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
On the lens for longer lenses as well.
Yep. And I shot a motorcycle event. This has been several years ago, where I had the D850 and the D5, one on each side. On the D850, I had the 24-70 2.8 G lens, and on the D5, here you go, I had the 200 f2, and carried it all day long, both those cameras and lenses, without dying, without passing out, and came home, and I wasn't in pain or anything else. So there you go. That was quite the load to carry around, but it was comfortable. And like I said, it's just easy to keep the cameras hanging the way you want and everything else. But that's just me. I wouldn't try to convince anybody, buy what you want. But yeah, I like the Black Rapid straps.
I thought mirrorless was supposed to be lighter. My mirrorless bag's heavier than my
funny how that worked out, right? Unless you're using APS-C or Micro Four Thirds, then you could say it's lighter. But other than
much.
That, yeah.
Once you go to a fast lens.
Yeah, the mirror in my Z9 is lighter.
Mm.
That's because there isn't one.
Yes, best sold. Yeah. I'm surprised it works so well. I was very apprehensive without a mirror and without a shutter. And
Cal Jackson saying he's in the house. Just
hello, Cal. Good to see you. Shooting
which event, if you can say, what event did you shoot? If you wish to share.
Hope it's something you can share in the next photo review.
Yeah.
We like
they got that big country western gathering down here this weekend, Chuck. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there's like 40,000 or more tourists here right now, clogging up the streets where I live.
Another reason I want to get moved and get down to Tennessee, because I would love to go down to Nashville at night and walk a Main Street and Printer's Alley for street photography. Man, I would love to do that.
So which prime are you going to take?
If I go do that,
Yeah.
I may take 2. That might be something where I put the dual strap on and carry the Z8 and Z9 with the 85 on one for certain, and probably the 24-70.
Something longer, perhaps. 24-70 and maybe the 70-200.
No, I want the
Or
85.
100-400.
I want to shoot that 85 wide open with all that beautiful bokeh in the background at night. Street lights and signs and stuff. In the daytime, I would agree with you, Roy.
Need the speed.
I don't own the 70-200 yet in the Z mount. I have it in the
That's
G
very good.
mount.
The 70-200 and Z mount's stunning. It's probably the best one yet. That's probably the reason I didn't get the 100-400, because I had that and just bung a teleconverter on it, although I hate them. And it does the job quite nicely.
Yeah. Space people. Funny you would bring that up. Have we talked about aliens and whether Nikon has been reverse engineering the sensors off from off-world vehicles?
No, I think he's got that backwards.
We did mention UFOs though earlier. We did talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably using Nikon glass.
They stole them from the space station.
ISS.
Yeah.
They got lots of Nikons and a few Sonys and lots of nice camera gear up there.
They had Hasselblads up there for quite a while, and I think
Yeah.
they have Nikons now.
The old film ones too.
Yeah.
Where's Nancy at tonight?
Yeah. She's lost in space.
Look at Roy's shirt.
Yeah, present from Nikon many years ago.
Here you go. $39.96, and they threw in a camera.
I only wear this to events where I don't go to Nikon and I can annoy people.
Well,
Saucer in the old Nikon logo. Yep.
give me a minute and I'll be back with my Nikon hat.
I've got a D5 and a D500 shirt upstairs that I never wore.
You haven't shown your wife's shirt either.
Yeah, I have not. And I brought it back in here.
You'll be in trouble if you don't.
Yep. So, all right, folks, my lovely bride bought this for me at Christmas. Just
I love that.
fun. And she gets mad because I won't ask for subscribers. I got to tell you that. But
One day we'll all wear one. Just like it.
See, David doesn't wait for Nikon to do anything. He just invents his own hats, and that's it.
Z8 plus Z9.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You look
I
sharp.
told him he should have it on the make it go around and says Z8 plus Z9 equals Z17.
It's Z8 plus Z9.
Z90.
Tommy Brantley, welcome, sir. Good to see you in here with us. I hope you enjoy the show. We do this every Saturday night, 9 p.m. till whenever. Same thing on Wednesday at 12 p.m. till usually at least 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or at least 3 o'clock, sometimes to 4 or 5 maybe. But he says you better take a bodyguard with all guard with you with all that gear.
I'll just
Yeah,
use an old bag. No one knows what's in it then. A crappy
yeah.
old bag, and everyone thinks it's not worth anything.
All I got to do is spin real fast, and the cameras take care of anybody near me.
Any of you guys have like for trips that you're taking a lot of gear for? I hear good things about the hard shell Pelican case ones. Do any
They're
of you guys
very
own
heavy.
any
I've got
of
one
those?
for the Hasselblads because I never
I've
leave
got-
the studio.
Oh, do you?
They're the heaviest bag you can imagine.
That's the
There's
only
also-
problem with it. You're right. If you're flying with it for carrying gear, you're talking about on board with you. It is. You can put it in the overhead, even though they will argue with you over it, but you can. Yeah, it's just it is a little bit lighter than the older cases, but it still takes up part of your weight. And if they ever weighed mine, they would ban me from the flight because I can pack that thing so it's probably 65 pounds.
Oh man.
That's just a bag.
Yeah, but yeah, I have that as well, Kevin. I also have the airport roller from Think Tank, which I absolutely love. It's soft sided. Doesn't look as crazy as you pulling up the Pelican case,
Right.
To check in. But yeah, and
Good protection for the Pelicans, but they're very heavy for what they do.
Yeah, I've got the Pelican Air. It's the 1535.
Yep.
I
And
think mine's 1540,
well,
whatever that means.
I have to take the lens off my Z9, and but I got my 9 and my 8, and 4 lenses and a bit of other stuff in it, and it's full. So
George Robbins says he has the Pelican Air. The Canadian company Nanook has a version as well. I have that one as well, George.
I
I
just
have both
bought
of them.
I just bought the airport Think Tank. It's the airport takeoff version 2, which is for international travel.
Okay.
And what's nice about it is you zip the back open. And let's say it's pretty heavy, and you actually have shoulder straps. You can put it on like a backpack.
Yep.
You have to. It's really, 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 really nice, and you can fit a lot of stuff in this thing, including a laptop.
And it's fairly light for the protection.
Yeah.
The low pros are very good. They're good protection, but they're very heavy for what they fit in them. That's where he hides them. Look, now we know where he hides his bag.
This is my carry backpack, the Mind Shift Think Tank product. Mind Shift. This is I think this is the 26 liter. And what I love about it is your back doesn't ever get muddy laying your bag down to get the camera gear out because it opens from the back, which of course makes it a whole lot more secure if you're walking around with it as well. And
Think of what you need the bag to do, though, doesn't it? I like messenger ones when I'm working because you can just grab the camera straight out of them.
Right. Yeah.
But for carrying things around, those backpacks are better.
And it'll hold a 16-inch laptop plus an iPad plus other accoutrements that you may be taking. And I can pack it heavy enough that it is miserable to carry through the airport, I will admit. But anything that's, really sensitive or expensive or whatever, if I'm flying with my gear, which I used to do back and forth to Salt Lake City all the time, all my cameras and lenses would go in this backpack, and you can imagine how heavy it gets. Batteries as well, since you can't fly, you can't check lithium ion batteries. You have to have them with you. But yeah, man, it carried everything I ever needed it to carry, but it does get heavy. No doubt about it. Yeah, Daryl says he loves it too. He has the 26 liter. Yeah, and the 36 liter. Yeah, the 36, I can imagine you can really get some weight in that thing. But
Needs to be a roller bag at that size.
Yeah. Even with a 26, if I pack, logically instead of the way I am, somebody talked about the difference between professional and amateur photographer is a professional takes what he needs and an amateur takes everything he has. And
Wonder who said that.
That's so true because I've always, I grew up in the Ranger Battalion, folks, in the U.S. Army. And let me tell you about the Ranger Battalion. You don't get to have anything. Nothing is, you can't have anything personal. You have a packing list. You carry everything that they tell you to carry and where, and whether you use it or not, doesn't matter. It goes in a certain pocket because somebody else may have to pick up your rucksack and use it or whatever. And I lived that way. And also boots, we had jungle boots, the old jungle boots with the steel plate spike protection in them. And in the wintertime, they're worthless. They're terrible. They're absolutely worthless. But my feet would freeze. For 7 years, I went through that in the Ranger Battalion. When I left the Ranger Battalion, I said, that's it. Never again. I'm going to pack the way I want, because I could. And, in SF, I'm going to pack what I want, the way I want. I'm the one that has to carry it. So therefore, I'm going comfortable. So I always had this philosophy. It's better to have and not need than to need and not have. And it's just one of those things. You couldn't even wear the only way you could wear, we didn't wear field jackets anyway in the Ranger Battalion. That wasn't allowed, even though you had to have 2 of them because that was Army issue. And Gore-Tex, when we finally got Gore-Tex, and that was a couple of years after I got to the Ranger Battalion, you couldn't wear it until they said you could wear it. And then it had to be underneath your blouse so that it didn't make noise as you're walking through the brush. Anyway, love it. Fantastic unit to be a part of. I learned so much and grew so much. But after that experience, now I'm that amateur. I take everything I have just in case. Sorry.
Easier to plan what you're going to shoot.
Oh, man.
More efficient.
Come on, Chuck. You need it, right? Or is it you want it?
Want it. Yes. There
You
you
want
go.
it.
With the wheelbarrow.
Maybe that's where my want came from. I want boots that don't have steel plates in the bottom in the wintertime.
Right.
Yeah.
No punji sticks for you, eh?
No. Not that we were worried about that in this day and age, but
That's another T-shirt, Chuck. It says I pack everything. Get over it.
I pack what I want.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
I just pack what I enjoy using.
hey, thanks, Juan, for the compliment on the community here. And it is the community, man. Thanks for the subscription. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't get a lot of subscriptions, but you'll notice the same people that are coming back because they seem to enjoy it. Maybe somewhere down the road, we'll get enough recognition that other people want to join the community here. But subscription's always welcome. I just don't beg for them. I'm not going to go down that path. You either want to participate and be part of this or you don't. And that's just the way it is. But thank you for the diverse community. Yes, it is. Thoughts, opinions, people, life experiences. Yes. And I tell people, I'm not a teaching channel. I don't do videos and how-tos and everything else. But if you watch what goes on over here in the chat, there's so much experience in this chat room. And everybody can learn something just listening to the chat that goes on. I encourage the sidebars that go on over there. And there are times when there's conversations going on, and I don't care. But it's not something that we're necessarily going to talk about, but other people have their own conversation going on over there. I think that's fantastic. Again, that's what makes it a community. And I appreciate the comment and appreciate you being here, and hope you'll continue to hang out with us because that's what we do. We hang out. All right.
It's kind of like Cheers without the booze.
Right.
And I love this comment too, because I've said this before. My channel is not like everyone else's channel. And I've had people early on, I had people trying to tell me, oh, you should do more videos on this and you should do that or whatever. And the ones that I loved, I don't get them anymore. Thank goodness. But I used to get emails quite often early on saying it's too long. Your live streams are too long. While I may agree, there are times when even I feel like it's going too long. I would agree. But the point is that you can always leave. You can always, take off if you've got something else you need to do.
Screw that, Chuck. We need 24 hours, 7 days a week. When it's ready to end this stream, we get somebody to replace and just keep going.
Yeah.
They have the Twilight Zone marathon for like 3 days
Right.
or something. You got to do the Chuck Talks marathon and just keep going and going.
Yeah. When I move, and this may be inspiration for me to get really cracking here to move. When I move, I'm going to do a super long stream. I won't say how long. Obviously, it'll have to be more than 10 and a half hours because that is our record so far.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do a long stream. More reason for me to get moving on that. But yeah, Juan, people that invite people on or just talk about run other YouTubers under the bus, or look, all of us have YouTubers that frustrate us or we don't care for or whatever. But you know what? It's their channel. They can do what they want, and that's fine by me. I don't want any of that on this channel. That's why there's no profanity here. I don't want any profanity here. Because I want people like Joe tonight. He has his grandson that walks into the room, hangs out with him while we're in the stream. And his grandson doesn't need to hear all the profanity. And I think everybody can abstain from profanity for however long they want to hang around the channel. So, yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully more channels are like this. And maybe we can make a slight difference in the community being so toxic and hostile. So, all right, I'm getting off my stump now. Thanks for letting me have a moment, though.
Got to have at least one rant.
Yes.
Yeah, Juan, just out of curiosity, what part of the world are you in?
Where are you, Chuck?
Me?
No, not Chuck, but what Juan?
Where does Juan originate from or live now?
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
We'll give him a chance to respond. Hey, folks, this is my little brother. He ain't little, though. I'll tell you that. Picking on you, brother. He said, go to the Juno Space Mission photo gallery. Some of the pics of Jupiter's South Pole are stunning. Some of the pics remind me of Pink Floyd's movie, The Wall. Well, that's a good description.
well, Juan's in DC.
All right, cool. Thank you, George
Someone wore
Robinson.
a Pink Floyd T-shirt. They thought it was gay pride.
Oh, man. Yeah, space people. Absolutely. That's it. Want means need. Absolutely. That was another. I've got to find one of these places where I can get shirts made. I don't want to have to deal with I don't want to make money on it and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to, have the shirts made, send them here, boxing them up and shipping them out. I'd rather give up the whatever revenue there is. And I'm sure it's not a ton of money anyway. To have somebody that will do that. One of those places I can just list it here on the channel where people can go and buy a shirt or whatever they want. So if anybody knows of a good source for that, maybe you're doing it already for your channel or your website or whatever, let me know, because it's time we get a few shirts out there.
There's different, I do it on my channel, and there's different, like I just use Teespring, I think is one of it. It correlates it, like you can integrate it right on your channel, right underneath your videos, on your, I don't think live streams, but underneath,
Okay.
there's got to be a way that you can integrate it during live streams too. But Teespring is one where it's a third party and you don't do anything, nothing gets shipped to your house. It's, another one of those, they get a cut from every sale and then you get a cut of the rest. They handle the shipping. All you do is you make your own designs and then they do everything for you.
That's exactly what I want.
Yep. And you can integrate it right on your channel.
You can get paper that you print out and iron on your shirts.
What's up?
You get paper that you can print on and then iron it onto your shirts for
No,
one-offs?
it's online. You create them
Mm.
online. I think you can do it through Photoshop, or there's other websites that you can even create it. And I think placeit.com or placeit.net is where I create my designs. And then, like I said, you integrate it and then they do everything. I mean, it's a couple bucks. I think I make maybe $10 a month off of it, which is, who cares? You know, it's just something to kind of, you know, people in the community want to support it, you know, the community somehow. You know, that's a way to do it. But I thought about doing everything in house, but my God, that's a lot of work. I mean, I don't even want to do any. I don't want to do any of that.
No, yeah.
That's way too much work.
Exactly. And I can see my wife now. Why do we have all these boxes in the kitchen?
Right.
And me making out mailing lists or whatever. And no, I just assume somebody else gets a cut of the profit. Again, I don't want to do it to make, you know, money.
Right.
I just want to do it to,
I mean, it should be more about the community, just to support the community. You know what I mean? Who cares about it? Like I said, it's pennies. Who cares about the money? But just to support, have something that, you know, if somebody wants to represent the channel and the community that you're building, I mean, that's one way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Here, Roy, this is for you. I want you to hear it. A whopping
Sounds good,
5.7 frames per second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with that. I've got one of the F3s that does about 14. That was pretty outstanding in the day.
oh man.
I can't wait to try out the 135 lens though on some portraits with the defocus control.
Oh, I missed that lens.
I hope they put the defocus control on when they do a Z
Too
lens.
expensive.
Yeah, Daryl, I am going to do another photo. Well, whatever we're going to call it. Last time was a photo walk that didn't happen.
Well, you want to work.
But we had a blast. I'll tell you that. We had a fantastic time. We had a good time. But yeah, especially now this time of the year, and I've got Ted, ATR Bear, and Albert and Paul. They all want to get together again and do that. So yeah, I need to. I got to balance it though. Mama wants to go to the city. She really does, but that doesn't mean for me to go down there and take photos.
Yes, it
So-
does.
I got to find out when she'd like to go down, and maybe she takes a friend or whatever, and then I could peel away again and do a photo walk. But we're going to do that. You know what? I'm glad you reminded me. I need to talk to Mama about that and get her blessings for it. Because it was so much fun getting together with everybody. And I got to tell you, anybody that's out here in the chat right now or on the panel, one of the most fun things that you can do is just organize your own photo walk, impromptu or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but you're going to have so much fun meeting a lot of the folks that you haven't met before. Again, that's the nice thing about a photo walk is we're not behind keyboards where we can hide and you know, be snippy and toxic and everything else. It's funny how we all get together and we all get along. So,
Right.
but yeah, I would encourage everybody to do that. But yes, Daryl, I'm going to make it happen, man. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, they don't realize how much we swear at each other prior to the show starting.
Yeah.
Craig C says,
Then Chuck says you're ready to go, and everybody's nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
Get the game face on.
Craig says too long. They said the same thing about Tarantino's movies. Never listen to the critics. I don't, Craig. That's why we did a 10.5-hour stream. But I got to blame one person for that. And he's sitting in the lower right-hand corner right now, Mr. Randall Brander. I was doing my best to get out of that stream that night. And Randall Brander goes, would you like to have Peter Gregg on the stream? And I said, absolutely. I don't care. You know, I'd love to have people that join the stream. Lo and behold, Randall Brander at 2 a.m, or I don't know what time it was. We were still going strong at that point, though. calls Peter Gregg and literally, I am not kidding, gets Peter Gregg out of bed, who gets dressed and joins the stream. Of course, then we can't leave. I can't just tell Peter, hey, sorry about that. Sorry to get you up and get you dressed and fire up the Christmas room with all your cameras, but I got to go. No. So anyway, but it was an enjoyable stream that night, even if it was unbearably long. Thank you, Randall. I appreciate you doing that. That was great. And Peter has an invite to the stream tonight. I always send him an invite, so you can expect sometimes, and he has done that. He'll just stop by for a few minutes and talk to us. He's a great guy too. So anybody is welcome here. Manny Ortiz from time to time will actually drop in the chat for a minute and say hello. So, I appreciate that too.
Simon over at Ordinary Filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon. Yeah.
He's a great guy.
So these are channels that I recommend. You know why? Because they're wholesome channels and they're good people. They're not toxic. Definitely recommend them. Now how many photos over here? Nick says photos from the James Webb are beyond amazing. They are, absolutely, Nick. I agree with you. Oh, wow. Oh, you're my best friend now, Juan. You are my absolute best friend. You are
have
my
to tell
best
Chuck
friend,
what
Juan.
the best coffee beans are.
A coffee farmer by birth. Man, that's got to be the most noble profession out there.
The primary food group.
Oh,
Coffee.
For Chuck, anyway, yeah.
Man, that is fantastic. Wow. I used to have a friend that was in Colombia all the time, and he would send me real Colombian beans roasted down there. And roasting is where it's at, folks. I don't know if you're coffee connoisseurs or not, but the roast is important. It's not just the beans and where they come from, but the roasting as well. Anyway, I like very strong coffee. I buy espresso beans, by the way, grind my own for my own coffee at home. So, and if I go to Starbucks, just so everybody knows, I always get a venti 6-shot Americano. So that's my that is my drug of choice, no doubt about it. Coffee all day long. All right,
Chucky, I'm surprised you can sit still on your show between the sugar from the M&Ms and the caffeine from the coffee. You should be like running around like a rabbit.
And then he's chasing his cat.
Yeah, he's chasing a cat.
Yeah,
chasing him.
That's multitasking right there.
Hey, the only thing coffee does to me at night, it keeps me awake. It doesn't keep me awake. It wakes me up constantly having to go to the little boy's room, which is why I have to take my intermittent breaks here. So
You're not the only one.
Rakesh.
Oh, you can get coffee
You
beans.
add Skittles to
government,
James Webb and a telescope photos, and it'll be even more amazing. I don't know how Fro will like that too much, but
Yeah.
Hey, Albert's asking a question here. This is how easy we change subjects. But we talked about this the other day. A black and white sensor versus shooting in color and then editing in black and white. But he's asking, has anybody purchased or considering purchasing the new Pentax monochrome camera? He says, I'm intrigued to know what's going on with it. We talked about
play
it.
With, but I wouldn't want to own one.
Yeah.
You can actually create color from it using 3 filters, though. Too much work there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if nobody spoke up then either. There were some people, Albert.
I don't want to have, I shouldn't say I don't want to have more than one system. I got about 10 systems, 20 systems behind me. But I mean, in terms of buying a lot of lenses, I want to just stick with the one brand if I can help it.
I haven't heard anybody mention it, Albert, but now that you brought it up and it's out in the, now that it's out in the chat, maybe somebody out there has bought one.
I don't see the point in using a dedicated mono camera unless you got real use for it, like commercial use.
Yeah.
I know they do a better job of mono than a color conversion, but
No, it is a
it
crop.
seems a lot of money just to get dedicated mono.
Okay, so this is where my saying actually works. They want it rather than need it.
T-shirt time, T-shirt.
Oh yeah, that is my first T-shirt. Is to verbalize that the right way. Want always trumps need, always for me.
I don't need it. I want it.
I can't always get what I want, but you can bet if I'm buying it, it's got to be in the want column first. Yeah, Daryl. Yeah, I ought to try to talk my wife into going down for something like that, but she wants to go down and do different things there in the city. So I don't know. I'm going to talk to her because she was talking about this just recently. So I will let you know, sir. Let everybody know. Maybe we can get a bunch of people together. I think Long Rider wants to participate in it too the next time. So looking forward to another trip down there, down to New York City.
Maybe I'll have to shoot an interview with Long Rider. That way you can get them on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll definitely have some video from it. No doubt about that. David's telling you, Albert, he wants one, but he's saving for an OM system camera for its weather sealing. There you go. Yeah, that'll be one of the fun things about a photo walk down there in the city is because everybody's pretty much together all the time. I mean, you almost have to be, I guess. But anyway, yeah, seeing same scene, but completely different composition and things. Let's see. Randall, you don't have that camera yet?
Hey, I'm working on it. I just started. My goal is to beat this guy right here on the upper left-hand corner.
Well, you've got you two are in different segments. He's got everything Nikon ever built up to. Well, even now with some of the latest technology, but you're going for all the hybrids and all the other cameras, man. I think we put you two together, and we've got an answer to every question.
Well, I use the Nikon because of the glass. I love the picture quality and stuff. The Sony I've been using for street photography. And then with the Canon, let me try it. I just bought Peter Gregg's R6 from him.
Okay.
And I tried it one night and it overheated, but the picture quality was fantastic. So, and what I like about it is with the Z8, the Z9, they have a shutter cover. All right. I think all cameras should have that. That way it keeps the dust off.
Yep.
I'm always willing to experiment.
New toys.
Sounds great. And again, if you want to know what your R6 does or what your Sony, I can't keep up with all of them, Randall, EV10 or EV1 or whatever does, go over to Randall's channel and you probably find the camera that you have, and he's tested it. So check it out. Juan says he goes to El Salvador 6 months a year, one time to do a coffee harvest and one for cocoa. Cool. Man, yes, and beans are the way to go, no doubt about it, Juan. That's why I buy beans. I found a local seller here that roasts themselves, and not all roasters are the same, I'll tell you that. Some are good and some are bad. But anyway, I found one that I like, and That's where I buy all the beans and grind it as I go. All right, enough about me and coffee. Other than Sanjit Paul, Sanjit says, I love coffee, especially with John Ishii. There you go. Sanjit, he was here earlier, but he said he wasn't feeling well, so he didn't stick around. Hopes to be back next week. Yes, coffee is, no doubt about it. I'm a poster child for that statement. And Randall, David's talking to you, says, after much research, seems that the camera I need for the summer Mexican storms.
Yeah, I've answered back to him.
Okay, yeah, I see. Great weatherproofing. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Between you and Roy now, and oh, by the way, anything in the manual that you need to know, we have Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you want to talk about wildlife and Canon, we have Kevin Nordstrom. You want to talk about aurora and nightscapes, we have David Stewart. If you want to talk about coffee, you have me. That's about all I've got.
And we'll have to get Juan on here for coffee as a second opinion.
Absolutely. Juan, you're going to have to join us. We'll have a whole stream on coffee. I know that would drive everybody crazy, but I can.
Shop here sells coffee beans coated in chocolate. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but
I don't like chocolate, but I like the coffee.
Yeah. Oh man.
Have you ever had any Hawaiian coffee?
I want to say I have. I can't remember where, but I want to say I have. I'm trying to think right now because I have a guy I worked with that lived in Hawaii, and I think that he brought coffee one trip.
One day I'll make it over there.
You know, the best coffee I've ever had in my life. I'm not going to say their beans are the best or anything else, but the best coffee I ever had in my life was in a hotel in Mombasa, Kenya.
Okay.
It was the absolute best coffee. And they had it in a giant steel, I won't say it was just a steel tank with a spigot on the bottom. And they had a heater underneath, and they would brew it, typical perked coffee or boiled coffee.
Right.
And it was all you could drink. And it was at the bar, and all my compadres were, of course, knocking down Tuskers, because we'd be off at night, and they were knocking down Tuskers. And I sat and drank coffee until it ran out my ears. But that was the best coffee I've ever had. And it was probably at least 95 degrees Fahrenheit in that bar. But coffee's good all the time. All right, enough about coffee. Nobody wants to hear about coffee anymore, Chuck. Be quiet. Let me see. Yeah, I'm seeing comments on the APS-C monochrome camera. All right. And Gustavo's posed a question with Sanjit. For those of you that don't know, Sanjit's a wildlife and conservationist in Malaysia right now, and he's traveling from there and in Malaysia, documenting the hornbills because of their rarity or status as a protected species. And we love Sanjit because he just tunes in out of nowhere sometimes, and we get to talk to him. He uses his phone. That's how simple it is to be on the stream. He uses the link that I send him and comes on his phone. But we love talking to Sanjit over there. We have such a wonderful international audience. It's fantastic. Saturday night more so even than our Wednesday stream, which is really more convenient for those that are in the UK and Europe. But Saturday night is Sunday morning in most of Asia. So we have quite a spread of folks. And of course, Mr. Down Under, Roy, up here in the top left-hand corner, he'll show up on a Wednesday which is in the middle of the night for him, and I can't believe it sometimes.
It's only 2 in the morning. Sometimes it's 4 in the morning.
Oh man. All right. Let me see what else we got going on over here in the chat. Anybody pick anything up?
Well, they're talking about cameras being modified, some for astrophotography, but
I've only got one. I need a new one.
Okay, so yeah, I see Rakesh talking about. He's got a couple of comments right here. Which one will be best for astrophotography? And I'm sure you guys have been following that, maybe even answering him. Do you see any ISO performance difference once you modify?
You do a little.
Out of my league, I can't answer.
More sensitive. Nikon had the 810A, which was specifically for astro anyway.
Yeah.
George Robinson's weighed in. I know you weighed in as well, Roy. Says full spectrum, the most versatile. You could use it for IR or UV photography as well.
Yep.
And of course, Mr. David Stewart over here, who just submitted a photo from his full spectrum D750 that you had modified, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for low light anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And when I had the modification done, or before it was done, the guy who did it, he told me that Nikon has an infrared light source that shines on the sensor. I think it's to determine whether or not the shutter is open. That ruins all your shots for low light shots. And I'm just going to have to do some testing to find out how dark that I can go. But now that I don't have that filter on there, it buggers up all my my night photography. But it's great in the daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mozman had this is how far I am behind in comments again. It says Kona beans are the best. And Juan says the same thing. Kona from Hawaii is great. All right. So, I can't remember. I know that my work colleague from Hawaii had brought some, but now I'm going to have to investigate myself. My brother wants me to show the photo of the guy walking the dog in a stroller going to Saks Fifth Avenue down in New York City. Yeah, when I was down there doing street photography, I ran across quite the character. I'll pull that photo up. Maybe I'll pull it up in the next photo review. Yeah, it's not just the dog in the stroller, the poodle with multicolored hair. And it's also a cockatoo or a parrot that's in his bonnet that he's you'll have to wait and see it. Pretty amazing. All right, David's got to take a break for a minute, and Jeffrey, just so you guys know, is walking the dog right now. He'll be right back. Let's see, you guys over talking another language, full spectrum 81A and
810A, I meant to say.
Oh, I'm glad. Oh, okay. Yeah. The D810A. All right. Now I know what you're talking about.
Type Nigera.
Have a good time, Scott.
Let's see. Oh, Sanjit's driving right now. And his lovely bride is manning the phone. Thank you so much. That's his love of his life, his sidekick, and everything that they do. So hats off to you guys for your conservationist work.
Pharaoh was just asking, does anyone use any camera or lens wraps? His Z9 already has some paint nicks near the eyepiece. There's probably a couple off-brand ones you can get, but I use Lens Coat. They have some wraps that you can get from Lens Coat, and they work. That's just neoprene wraps, and they work really well.
Camera armor.
Yeah.
Good night, Juan. Thanks for dropping in with us. Hope you'll join us again. Especially now that I know that you're a coffee aficionado. I mean, you're a must. You have to come back.
Maybe he'll send you some beans.
Well, just knowing that he's a coffee aficionado is enough. But yes,
And he's not that far away from Connecticut. He's in D.C.
yeah, he isn't. You're right.
Yeah.
You're-
Yeah, Kevin, I use black fingernail polish on my cameras, and one of the first things that I do is where it says Nikon, I either usually paint that out or I use black tape and cover it over. But it works well. It cosmetically it damages the camera, but it still works great. And
If you use black painter's tape instead of gaffer, it doesn't leave a residue.
I'm not worried about leaving a residue. You know, that's why I'll use fingernail polish.
All right, brother. Talk to you later. Let's see. So Rakesh has asked, I don't know if you guys answered or not. Can you still shoot normal landscape with full spectrum modified camera?
You can,
Yes,
but you need a pass filter.
Yeah.
See if after you.
You can get the proper filter for that, but sometimes what I do just for effect is I'll either make it into black and white, or I've come up with the settings for that works in Photoshop that I can get the colors mostly there, but I really don't care. I can get it close enough for what I want. It depends on what you're shooting, but your colors are always going to be different because you've got so much red, you know, and because it's a red part of your sensor that's sensitive to the infrared, and like your reds are going to be so strong compared to every other color, and you only have 3. You know, so. Go ahead there, Roy.
I was just going to say you can get a filter that passes visible light. It's like a UV filter, but it also blocks the IR. And that solves it.
Yeah. But my 750 was just sitting on the shelf gathering dust, and because I do an awful lot of experimenting, I figured, well, for $400 Canadian, can't go wrong. You know, and I'm having fun with it.
Good night,
Hey,
Craig.
have a good one, Craig.
Yeah,
Thanks
Greg.
for coming on.
Thanks for being in here with us. Love to see you show up. Thanks. Oh, all right. One more break for me, and this will set me up for the finish. I don't know how far down the road it is, but yeah. And
We
immediately,
can make sure it's not.
yeah, I know. Immediately, Randall goes to the phone and calls Peter and other people.
Hey guys, I gotta jump out. Anyways, I'm getting ready to pack up and go on vacation, so I gotta jump out of here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You're going to see family and maybe even take a few photos while you're there. But I wanted to wish you a good trip and be safe, and I hope you enjoy it with the family.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. We'll be heading down near the Gatlinburg area and just gonna have a good time down. We got a cabin up in the mountains, so it'll be a good time with the family.
You're going to have a blast. You're going to have a wonderful time, I'll tell you.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Chuck, everybody, it's always a pleasure to come over here and you know, shoot the crap with you guys and have fun and just enjoy just good fellowship with each other.
Well, thank you, brother. And again, for anybody that doesn't know, Kevin Nordstrom has his own channel, Kevin Nordstrom on YouTube, and go over there and check it out. He's always providing tips and, you know, to do and not to do things, and some great photography, shooting a lot of the birds up on you're up on the Northern Peninsula, right?
No, I'm near Sandusky, Ohio, right along Lake Erie.
Okay, why did I say Northern Peninsula? I don't know.
No, I wish I was in the UP. It's a gorgeous area.
And he's known as one of the best quick change artists on YouTube. You never saw a guy change clothes as much as him. So
Right. One of the video, yeah, that was just a funny video. I was messing around, but yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested in nature, wildlife, I'm gonna start dabbling into some macro photography now that I got that new macro lens. That should be fun.
It's a
So
good
yeah,
lens. Like
And,
macro.
and I think the number one thing is he's a very positive person. He's non-toxic YouTuber. I mean, unless you really want some drama, then I wouldn't say go over there to his channel.
I try to keep it, try to stay away from that, which is unfortunate because if you want to grow your channel really quick, you get into the controversial stuff.
You
and
ain't
I'm
kidding.
not about that.
And drop
What it's worth.
clickbait titles. I'm going to start using clickbait titles here. Just kidding. Of course I'm not.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure like always.
have a great trip. Have a good
That's very
time.
good, Kevin.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Peace out.
Take it easy.
Thanks for dropping by, Kevin. Appreciate it, man. All right. All right. So if there's anybody out there, again, I'll say you'd like to join, just send me an email. I'm going to put the email address up while I'm running to top off my coffee. I got to get this last cup of coffee in before we end and I have to go to bed. So it's not something you'll hear a lot of people say. All right. So here's the email address. If you would like to join, be on the panel, by all means do. It's for us. This is for us. Here's your chance to get in here, mix it up with everybody and have a good time. All right. I will be right back, gentlemen.
Let's see what we got here in the chat, if we missed anything. I don't use any wraps on my cameras, for the record. I just be as safe as I can with it. But, I mean, it's a tool. You don't worry about scratching your screwdrivers or your pliers, right?
Has to do a job.
Yeah.
One thing about wraps on the white Sonys and the white Canons is the reason why the lenses are white is so they don't heat up in the sun and screw up their focus and their internals, because the heat can change the spacing of everything. So if you put a wrap on it, you could bugger all of that up. And it seems
Especially in hot countries like this one.
Yeah, well, and here it's been getting hot too, and if you go from being white to being a camouflage color, and if you got a bird that can see a mouse at 100 meters, I'm sure it's going to be able to see your camouflage lens, and plus the person that's holding it.
Yeah, I laugh because where I shoot, 90% of the people don't have camouflage anything, and then you'll get people that show up with the camouflage pants and the shirts and the hat and on their camera gear, and it's like, why are you even bothering, buddy? Because nobody else is dressed like that.
The birds, some are more timid than others.
It doesn't do you any good.
Nikon's got some nice white lenses though. Nikon's produced about a dozen or so white grey lenses.
Are they any lately?
Not lately, not since the Z system. I've got probably 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing one, so that's why I asked.
Roy's got it. Wait a minute. Box number 3.
Now, is Roy using a long lens, or is he using something short to make his room look bigger?
It's not a small room, but it's a wide lens too.
Yeah.
That's a 70-200 and a 300.
Okay.
24-70 and a few others too. All AFS.
So are those G lenses or?
Yeah, they're G lenses.
Yeah.
So Nikon's made them too. Just don't see them very often.
Yeah. They must be the Australian version.
Sorry?
They must be the Australian version.
No, they're just general Nikon.
Yeah.
They're just not common.
Yeah.
It just
Wildlife
that
not common.
it's the Canadian version of the Z9 has snowman eye detect.
And
Hello,
Bigfoot
Moz,
too?
man. Nice to see you here. And yeah, he says some people wear to shoot the bird feeders, or I am wear camo to shoot the bird feeders. But you know, it was funny. One day I went to a different area, and there was an owl nest in a different park, and it was near the water, and you know, photographers knew where it was, so I'm walking in the general area where I have to go, and I see what looks like a clump of leaves and grass or whatever, like a mound, and I just smiled because it was a photographer that had, you know, the camouflage cover over them, you know, shooting. And I laugh because it's like same thing. It's like, but you got 4 other people that aren't wearing any camouflage, so it's like, give it up, man. It doesn't do you any good. I mean, I can see if you're in the middle of the woods, you're just you
Depends
or
on the
one other
birds.
person, and everything is really skittish and that type of thing. But when you're in a more of a public place, I don't really see how it benefits you at all.
At times like that, I like taking photographs of the photographers. You know, it gets some pretty interesting shots.
In funny poses.
Oh, yeah. Some of the antics that they get into to get the shot, you know. Yeah, so. But, you know, to each his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would get people, and we'd see them every once in a while. They come in with the big heavy glass, the old, you know, 600 F4s and stuff, and they'd set up their big tripods, and they'd stay there for like 10 minutes. If they didn't get the shot in 10 minutes, they packed up, threw it in the car, and left. Everybody else was there for 5 hours.
Jeffrey, are they the ones with a trolley full of gear?
Yeah. Yeah. They go there for 10 minutes. It's like, nothing here. What's going on? There's nothing here. Like, okay. They leave. We stay. We're there 2-3 hours, way past them, 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes. And we're getting the shots. They don't get it in the first 10 minutes. They throw the stuff in their car and they drive to the next place.
Well, that's why I consider my travel trailer as part of my camera gear, because I'll set it up as close to the spot that I can be to get the shot. Good evening, Gustavo. And then I'll set up outside it and shoot all day or whatever, how long that it takes, you know. And there's different times I even managed to situate my trailer in such a way that it was my blind. And there's nothing better than being able to make coffee inside your blind and sit down in a nice, comfortable chair and shoot birds.
Somebody said coffee.
I know, I heard.
But
I tell you, David, those guys that leave in 10 minutes, they could never possibly have the patience to do what you do.
Well,
Never.
I don't think that I got it as good a setup as Gustavo. You know, having that animal in his backyard that's been there for months and months and months, and it's got all these birds posing on it for him. You know, that took a lot of thought, Gustavo.
Gustavo, how are you this evening, sir?
I wonder if that was a critter. If that was a critter that that David hit with the tranquilizer gun and dragged into Gustavo's yard. You know, I don't know.
No, we can't hear you, Gustavo. You're pretty quiet.
Did you go to the little settings wheel there?
That's what I did wrong last time.
Yeah. Did you go to the little settings there on Restream and make sure that it's set to the right microphone or audio?
Yeah, click on that little gear that little gear and check your settings that you're tied into the right microphone or whatever.
I think he's going to try coming back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now you look comfortable, Randall.
Oh yeah.
And we got great audio. Great.
Yeah, man's best friend. He's got man's best friend with him.
She's a rescue dog. All right. I know
Yeah, that's what my dog's a rescue as well.
Yeah.
Best dog I ever had, actually.
They
One of the
appreciate
best.
that rescue.
Hey, I've got to. I talked to my wife. She got mad at me because I let the secret out. I didn't know it was a secret. But anyway, we got an anniversary coming up, and I told her, I said, I'm gonna buy us chairs because these cheap little old chairs that we've got. She has one that she has to sit in all day long. She works from home. Anybody got a recommendation for a comfortable, good chair? The chairs that we've got. She has one that she has to sit in all day long. Now I can hear your feed. Anybody got a recommendation?
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
All is well now.
Thank you. Chrome. I just forgot to open it in Chrome. Oh my God.
The Chrome thing, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mean a task chair or?
One of these ergonomic chairs that you can actually sit in for more than 20 minutes before. I've got this, cheap little Office Max chair.
Yeah.
I've got two of these. One my wife uses in her office, but I'm ready to. After 10 hours of sitting in this the last time, or for the monster stream, I've got to have a better chair to sit in for these live streams.
I agree with Wasman. Steel case.
Steel case?
Yes,
Yep.
and you can find them second hand. And they are very, very good.
Okay.
I got to find what I bought my wife because she works from home as well. And I know it was expensive. I mean, I probably paid $400 or $500 for it, but she sits in it all day long and she doesn't have any pains at all. So I'll take a quick run downstairs and see if I can find the brand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to break the bank, but best bang for the buck, but anything has got to be better than these, cheap little Office Max desk chairs.
The chairs are like tripods. You better,
Yeah.
buy a good one to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to.
A lot of these places like the rentals and stuff like that, you would go and see what they have, and then most of these other stores that sell furniture, they have nice chairs and stuff. But the thing is, if you go to a warehouse that distributes everything, you can find that same chair for a quarter of the price. That's how I do it. So I go in, I sit down on a chair. Okay, I can deal with this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is photography related. How many people sit and edit photos for hours on end, So, yeah. So,
You can
yeah.
write them off in tax anyway.
Yeah, I've got to do something because this is driving me crazy. But I know you get what you pay for. You're absolutely right, Maz. That's that's the part I got to bite the bullet on and find something.
This is steel case.
Yeah.
There are two here in the office, one for my wife and one for me.
Okay. Gustavo's got that hot rod red going on.
Exactly.
Well, he needs that color so he can get out and shoot the birds that are in the backyard.
Exactly. Now I actually have a little stool for my backyard.
How far away is your animal that's out there?
From my deck, that one is like 100 meters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so
I did.
actually,
I did
actually,
some. Go ahead.
yeah. No, actually, I have been trying for you and Jeffrey. I actually ended buying uh, the TC2 converter, put it on the 800,
Wow.
and then and then shooting from my deck to the carcass. Eh, I'm like Roy. I never liked the TC converters, but I tell you, these CTC converters, they are at a
The big ones are
different.
good, but
These ones are good.
I'm still not convinced that'll be unwobbly.
No, no. I mean, I shoot with a remote, correct? Even I mean, just pressing the shutter in a mirrorless camera with no shutter, the shutter release button, sufficient to create enough vibration. So just
A good
but
tripod.
that combination, amazing. I may share some of that because I had taken the. I mean, you can see a fly on the antler.
1,600 millimeters.
Exactly.
Man, that's bizarre. What's the aperture with that TC2X?
I
The
think
remote
it's
two stop.
I think
F9
it's 2 stops, right?
to stop. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's F9 or F11 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's but you see, this is, I mean, like we were talking the other day, we live in a new world, correct? I mean, you can shoot, ISO 4500.
Yep.
No problem, correct?
Yeah.
There's more a lot of the autofocus systems won't work when you get past
No.
the F13. At least the Z9 and Z8 should be all right.
Yeah.
I got I have the 1.4 converter even before I got the 600 because I know the 1.4 converter is good, but the results were so good that I then say, oh, let me buy the 2X, and I have been impressed. Obviously, if I don't need it, I don't use it, but it
It's
brings a
good
lot
for
of,
last
like we were
resort.
talking today, flexibility, correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
last resort.
Well, and certainly
Making
if
good
the
unit.
light is not contrasting, if you have softer light, not contrasting, I think converters tend to be in trouble when you have too much contrast and the light. But if you have a softer light in a cloudy, overcast day, wow, they
Yeah.
produce fantastic images.
And Chuck, the chair that I bought that I sit in sometimes for 8+ hours if I'm editing photos, I bought from Amazon. It's from a company called the ZL Chair Store, and it's $279.99. And it just says office chair, ergonomic mesh desk chair, high back with adjustable headrest, seat height, flip up arms, tilt function, and lumbar support. And it's very comfortable. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a big guy and I could sit in this thing for 8 hours plus, and I'm not sore when I get up.
Okay. Yeah, I just pulled up Steelcase on Amazon, and yep. I mean, I can't ever imagine me spending $1,500 for an office chair.
Second hand. That's the way my son bought for.
Okay.
I mean, if you get it from one of those stores that deal with liquidation of businesses, you can
Okay.
get a almost brand new one for $300 or something like that. So
Okay.
check it out.
All right. Oh man.
But the
Yeah.
one I bought for me was cheaper than the one I bought for her, but it works for me, and I'm a lot bigger than she is, and I don't have a problem.
Yeah, that's just it. Obviously, Mama would get. I got to take care of her first, but I definitely want to get some chairs for us. I'm tired of this little Office Max. I don't know what it wasn't expensive. $60 or something like that.
You got to go and try and see what you like.
Yeah, it just
Try them all.
yeah, it just isn't very comfortable to sit in for a long time. It's not meant to be sat in for a long time, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so that's another thing on my list.
But well, getting back to photography for a change,
Yeah.
Gustavo, I took a page out of your book because
Okay.
there's a bird's nest that it was a woodpecker hole, and there were starlings in it, and for the starlings to feed their young, they had to latch onto the side of the tree at the bottom of the hole, and so he couldn't get any good pictures. So last year, after the birds fledged, I got out my power drill and my generator, and I drilled 2 holes into the tree on
Oh,
opposite sides of the woodpecker hole, and I put
okay.
2 branches in there,
Okay.
and I rammed them in. So this year, when I go to take pictures, the birds, the parents have a place to stand, and I've been getting much better shots.
Very good. Very good.
As
Very good.
the parents are not in the way anymore.
Very good. Very
It,
good. I have been working in a YouTube project, which I haven't published yet, on my woodpeckers flicker saga,
yeah,
and that got raided. Some of these guys know got raided by raccoon last year, so I love that. And this year it hasn't been going well. I think a squirrel have been taking some of the eggs, so it's not going great either. So, but when I publish, I let everybody know that would be my first YouTube video. Taking me 2 years to go through all that process, but I can tell you one thing. Like our British friends will say, squirrels, 2. Gustavo, no. So they're still winning. I had covered the tree with metal and tried to do all sorts of things. I got a mama squirrel that also wants to live in that tree. She's still winning.
Yeah. You need some hawks around there to take care of the squirrels.
Yeah, well, the foxes should be able to take care when she had to go down, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind, but no, that's good.
Did you have any cats?
I do have, but all my cats are indoor cats. I have some neighbors' cats.
Yeah, that's the thing is you got to get outdoor cats, and that'll look after the squirrels. It'll take a while, to keep them under control.
Yeah, no, it's here we got. I mean, the squirrels don't have it easy. They got. We have owls and stuff that she's a little bit. You wait until you see the video. Eventually, will come.
Yeah, I had a cat that used to go away for 6 weeks at a time and spend his time with a black bear.
Yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, the only reason why I know is because they used to go visit one of my neighbors, which is a mile away where the crow flies, and they would see both of them together. But I never did. So, and I had horses, and the black bear didn't bother the horses. It's maybe something to do with electric fence. I don't know.
Yeah. It could be.
No grizzly for you.
Electric fence and hand grenades usually work.
Hey, I just thought of this, and Con actually dropped a comment on Gray's Westminster Friday about this. All right, I am not a film shooter, but I think next Saturday night, so you guys can mull this over. Next Saturday night, I think I want to do the stream on film photography. I have nothing to add to this conversation. Nothing. So guess what? All you film shooters out there, this is going to be your show. And it's going to be headed up by Mr. Roy Bigsby, who loves to talk about his film cameras.
I like the cameras. I just don't like using film anymore.
Exactly.
But I think, and you too, Jeffrey, because I know you just purchased an F4, didn't you?
Yeah, F4S. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I think we'll do a whole stream. Well, depending on what the chat room wants to talk about. but I'm going to title it Film Photography, Cameras, Lenses, and whatever, History or something like that. And I'm going to let you guys just take off because
Camera's all right as long as you put a digital back on them.
oh man, Jim, real Nikon lover, super chat, $20. Thank you so much, sir. Squirrel has entered the room. Peanuts for Chuck. All right. Thank you, Jim. Good to see you in here, man. All right. And thank you so much for the super chat. Always appreciated. You know what? I gotta do. How do they make the coffee fund? Maybe that's what I ought to do, is make it a coffee fund. And I'll bet I drink more coffee than Con and Becky combined.
Oh, easy.
Wouldn't be hard.
Well, the British tend to like sip very, very slowly too.
It depends what they're drinking.
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to label it at the bottom so that it's a coffee fund, not whatever. So
And
anyway,
make it look like a coffee mug with steam coming up.
there you go. There you go. But yes, next Saturday night, film for all those that want to talk film cameras and everything. But I have very little, if anything, to add to that conversation. But because I know that people from time to time, and when we have some film shooters in here, obviously, they perk up from time to time. David, the drunken wedding photographer, that's what he shoots, is film for his business, his wedding business. So I'm sure he'd be interested in it. And of course, I'm open to it too. I'll learn something, no doubt about that. But all right, so you guys think about that. I'm going to lean heavily on you film shooters to carry the load.
And speaking about topics for upcoming shows, what about the topic for the next photography review?
Yeah, you know what? You sent me that email, and I'm still trying to figure that out. How do I do that? Again, I'm not opposed to themes, but I really need to give everybody a chance. Maybe on the next one, David. So help me out with that. You said find a photographer and try to and ask everybody to try to emulate their work or their whatever.
No, it's you have a photographer whose work that got you going in a certain direction, like the way Gustavo does his birds and Kevin does his birds and whatever, and so that I have a tendency to emulate them, and I'm emulating Roy and how he collects all of his equipment. But I got a long ways to go there.
Mozman says Astro for the next review.
Yeah, Mozman should come on for a minute. He's going on a desert. He's going out in the desert next weekend to shoot Astro.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that Mosman is far enough south that in the summertime he can shoot the Milky Way.
You know what? I'm okay with Astro for the next review. I'm okay with that because everybody can step outside after it gets dark and do something.
Well, some things are better that you do in the dark anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's been raining a lot here, so.
Yeah. You guys had bad weather. Well, I say you guys. Texas is a huge state, so. But Texas has had some bad weather this year, big time.
Well, I feel for you, Randall, because every night that the aurora has been good, that I have a chance to get out, it's either been raining or cloudy or something, and so I haven't gotten a good aurora shot in a year and a half.
Yeah, but Randall, you have a great opportunity coming your way, correct? Because you have that eclipse.
Yes.
On I think it's April 8th next year or April 5th. I'm actually preparing to go to Texas to picking a town where I want to go. Either for me will be driving to Texas or to Oklahoma to try to catch it.
There is a nice place. It's a small town, not many lights, but you have to find a place where there's no lights. But I'm telling you, West Texas off of I-10,
Yeah.
I have seen
Well,
so many beautiful stars. It's
We're
unreal.
talking lunar eclipse or solar.
No, total solar eclipse.
Yeah.
That coming in April. I did the last one here in Wyoming. That is a trip experience. I would recommend everybody. But if people wants to do that, they better start making plans right now because
You better
it's difficult to find
you better
accommodation.
buy your filters right now because
Exactly.
because I did that 4 or 5 years ago or even more when the big one was total eclipse in Kentucky.
Exactly.
And I waited too late and tried to buy filters. Forget it. You couldn't buy filters you couldn't find them anywhere.
Well, and I probably David can tell you it's if you going to shoot it with a big telephoto lens, you probably have to build your own filter. Correct? You have this special mailer type of material
Yeah.
that is especially made for photography of
Some
the
people are
sun.
using welding mask glass.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, but if you need to cover the front end of let's say a 600 or an 800,
No, you're right, but you couldn't even buy that because I looked for that as well. You can buy the filter material, and even going to a welding supply company for a big sheet of it or an 8x8 piece of it. And it was like everybody and their brother was buying this stuff up for that eclipse. I don't know what it was, 6 or 7 years ago, because it was supposed to be one of the longest in history. Total solar eclipse that lasted like 2.5 or 3 minutes.
Oh, it was fantastic. I tell you, it was the most wonderful experience.
Yeah, and I missed it because I was working and gone.
Yeah.
Should be interesting this year. The sun's very active. First time in about 11 years.
Okay.
George said he bought his 2 years ago in anticipation of next year's eclipse. There you go.
That's the way
I
to
do
go.
that and I usually miss it.
Well, they got a special lens, and I knew it was on the F mount. It's the Tokina SE Super Tele 500 millimeter f8 flex lens.
Mirror lens.
For $50. And it has, all you have to do is buy a filter also with it. But you got one cheaper, but and you can find it off of B&H.
Yeah, I agree. With George here, that was a fantastic experience. Total solar eclipse.
Yeah.
If you have never seen one, don't miss this opportunity.
Yep.
I did.
Coming up.
That's what I want to see for Nikon.
Yeah, and you can, once you get your filter sorted out, you can try it on the sun. You need to practice, and then you can see solar spots and all that kind of stuff. It's I think I photographed a Venus transit before the eclipse just to practice to make sure that everything was working.
So Gustavo, so you have it all sorted out with filter and everything for your 1600 millimeter lens?
The locally the 600, that my 600G and the front element of the 800 work the same.
But I mean, you ready? It's 1600 millimeter.
No, I don't think. I think. Well, I may try. If it lasts, the only thing is that you don't want to do too many things, correct? Because you want to, you don't have a astronomical mount. You have to follow it a little bit.
Yep.
And make some adjustments, and you want to see it with your own eyes as well. Correct?
Yeah, that's what George is saying. Set up your camera and enjoy the view with your own eyes.
Oh, it's but you need a place like West Texas, where you are guaranteed to have good weather, correct? I mean, maximize your chances of not being a cloudy.
Yeah, it's dry. Yeah, that's what I recommend.
And April in Texas is probably not too hot.
Right, it's perfect weather, I consider. But this May, it's been raining like crazy, and usually you get it in April. But I think it's El Nino right now. So we're getting more rain than we've had in the past 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here in Colorado have been a lot of rain, which is good. We like the rain here, and everything is very green,
Well,
and there is a lot of
Well,
wildflowers. So,
you
also
know
had a
things.
lot of snow too, right? This past
I'm sorry,
you had a lot of snow also.
we got a lot of snow, but now there have been a lot of
Rain.
a lot of rain. So this have been a good year
Well, you know
for us.
things are messed up in the weather when New England's been dry.
Exactly, and Colorado wet. Yeah.
Are you having any problems with the fires from Quebec right now, Chuck?
We did the other day when you saw, if you checked anything going on social media, the photos coming out of New York City. We had about the same thing here in Connecticut because I'm only an hour away from the city. And man, it was strange. It reminded me of being in Iraq during one of the 3-day sandstorms where it's just yellow for 3 days. But it was only one day that it was that bad. The next day it was noticeable, but not near as bad. But that one day, it was unbelievable.
I tell you, it creates here in Colorado, and David knows that also. In there in Calgary, we get at least few days with a lot of smoke from either the North American Rockies or from the Canadian Rockies. It's it brings some opportunities also for photography. I mean,
Yep.
your sunset and sunrises are going to be spectacular.
Yep. Hey, John Ishii had a photo that he put up recently of the moon rising over a building. And I was thinking, man, that's where I'd like to have your 1600 millimeter set up. That would be awesome to be able to, take that moon with the buildings.
Imagine all the compression.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You think the moon was ready to crash into the buildings?
Yeah, exactly.
You need to plan ahead like photo pills or something.
Yep.
And the exposure for that will actually be fairly fast because for moon shots, as a rough rule of thumb, it's either f8 or f11, and your shutter speed is the same as your ISO.
Well, the key there on the aperture is you only need an aperture that's the sharpest aperture for that lens, because there is no depth of field with the moon. Everything's in.
No, but the thing is with Gustavo, with it two times on his 800, it shoots at f11.
Yeah.
And so that then it makes the calculation easier. So if you're shooting at an ISO 1000, then he shoots at 1,000th of a second, because you got to remember that the moon is being lit by the sun.
Well, and you have that EVF to crank.
There are a lot of that's a good reason for maybe that'll be it, Maz. Astrophotography with a little twist. Where are we at in the moon phase?
Well, between now and then, it's going to change quite a bit.
Well, I know, but I mean, are we just coming off a full moon? The reason I ask is between now and the next photo review, throw the moon in there with it, because a lot of people
someplace.
Because a lot of people are going to learn something from that, and this is something that they have to experience, because you can tell people, look, don't shoot wide open aperture just because, and slow your shutter speed down, because that's a problem. The moon is so bright, as you were saying, David, and I think I've seen somewhere where it's when you're talking about exposing for the moon, it's 80% or something like that brightness of the sun even.
It is. It's in daylight.
Yeah.
The moon's in daylight.
Yeah. So, a lot of people don't know how to actually take a photo of the moon. So this might be a good opportunity for everybody to experiment. Just go out and play. You might find out that they like doing astrophotography or nightscapes, because there's a little controversy with those that have photo trackers and, tracking telescopes. That's astrophotography when you can get a photo of a nebula or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. The new moon is on the 17th.
Okay.
The summer solstice is the 21st. The moon at apogee is on the 22nd. On the first quarter is the 26th. And on the 3rd, which is afterwards, it is the, here, go back.
When's the next full
The
moon?
full moon is July the 3rd.
So
Wow.
that's after.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could get it out. There was still a full moon to happen between now and then for everybody.
We can go for the next one. We can go August.
Yeah. Give
Full
everybody a
moon's
chance.
always the best shot anyway.
Well,
Yeah, but
looks better.
for those that have never done it, I mean, it's an opportunity. And the other thing about it is you can get some nightscape opportunities with a full moon because you might be able to pull enough. It takes some work, but to be able to capture trees and things like that as it's rising, maybe, you know what I mean?
It's easy.
so, but Mossman is making a good point here. If you're going to photograph the stars, then obviously yes, you don't want any moon,
One or the other.
correct?
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
So if you go for the moon, so I think that's a good thing.
Well, we can go with it, and yeah, absolutely. We'll just see what people come up with, and give everybody an opportunity to go out and experiment, try something different that they've never done before. I've got a couple of photos. I've got several photos of the moon. I've got a photo of a jet crossing the moon, in silhouette. I've got another one of a halo, lunar halo, which I think I love that when that happens. That's fantastic. Jim says it's been so overcast in California that it's nuts. Yeah. Maz says we can, you can include night painting too. Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
then there's the one that I had of the stones in Callanish. There's a light painting then
Yep.
that I showed you already.
Well, Anita did that too in one of the reviews. Not night painting, but using the lights and whatever and low light.
Yeah, it's the thing is you just got to get out there and do it, and it's
Yep.
so much easier with the new gear.
Yep.
Much harder with film.
Oh man.
I've actually done it with Kodachrome 25. Yeah.
Me too, but it wasn't. You never know whether you got it right or not.
You found out a month later.
All right. So since we do have a new moon, which is no moon really, yeah, let's try it this month. And maybe if they catch the moon and when it's just a sliver. I don't know where the planets are right now. I love it when Venus and the moon work together, and you get that little Venus and that little dot, somewhere near the moon when it's
We don't
in it.
use the Samsung phones and let it AI fix it for us.
That's true. Well, you know what? At least they get a workout in AI then. So
The end of photography. Remember that. The end of photography.
I've got another photo that I did during the lunar eclipse, and I put the Earth in with it, so it looks like the Earth is shadowing, which of course
You must have had a very big ladder.
yeah. And there were people that were asking me how I got that shot. How could I possibly get that shot of standing away from the Earth, taking a photo of it shadowing the moon? But anyway, I thought it was funny. Yes, I cheated, obviously. Oh man. All right. So let's make it let's make it an Astro event for the next photo review. However you want to interpret Astro, and let's see what people come up with.
So you just want photographs. You don't want any video or anything, just photographs.
No, just photographs. One, yeah, I'd have to link to somebody's video that they had published, rather than trying to send a video to put in the photo folder with all the photos.
Well, if you get out tonight, you can see Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, Mercury, and Uranus. They're visible tonight.
Annular solar eclipse also happening October 14th of this year.
Mossman.
Well,
Don't tempt me.
Well, Mosman Joe sent me a picture of what he considers as UFO. I don't know what it was, so I'm not saying, but I don't want to commit myself as to whatever. But it
you
was
just don't want to be committed, period.
well, pretty close, you know. I don't want to make it official.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the great cameras that we have today, high-speed cameras of every sort, and we still can't get a real photo of a UFO.
Strange, that isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, is it just something that happens and people just they go brain dead? And I mean, even photographers that might have an opportunity to pull out a long telephoto lens and take a photo. But then again, we don't have any clear photos of Bigfoot, but that's been answered. Mozman helped us out with that, answering that reason. Bigfoot is just a blurry creature. Therefore, every photo that we have of Bigfoot is correct.
Maybe Bigfoot's flying the UFO.
I got to tell you, one of my indulgences as far as TV goes is Skinwalker Ranch. I love it because I love the astrophysicist that is on there. And there is some phenomena that goes on there that is crazy, no doubt about that. But I think about it all the time when I see them talking about UAPs and they can see it in the sky. I'm going to give them a call and say, hey, I'll come out there and hang out with you guys with my camera on a gimbal. And, I'd like to try to take photos of this thing with a long lens rather than, their cell phone photos or their cameras they use to monitor the ranch. I mean, why hasn't somebody done that yet on a show like that? Well, maybe the answer is they don't want people to do that because
Clickbait.
We might see the wires.
Yeah. Are UFOs real? I don't believe in them myself, Rakesh, but a lot of people do now.
I tell you a story. I got a good friend, photographer, that he was actually a retired navigator from the Air Force.
Yep.
So he knew how to navigate with star, correct?
Yep.
The old time, they need to be able to learn how to navigate those planes across the world, just looking, taking measurement from the plane.
Yep.
And he did a lot of astrophotography.
Yep.
But I tell you, even him at night when he went along to the plane here in Colorado, he sometimes got spooked because everything get amplified at night, correct? So you start listening to noises and then say, hey, Tim, the chupacabra is going to get you. So we better get together. It was definitely, David can tell you that any single noise at night, I mean, you will hear it,
Yeah.
miles and miles away. And then you say, what the hell is that? What?
Yeah.
Am I doing the right thing? So good photography is a good thing to go with some friends.
Yeah.
And and then when you put your camera on, time lapse or something, then you can have a good chat,
That's right. Yeah.
or you can stream what you're doing.
Yeah. I have spent hours out here in the backyard shooting at night, trying to catch meteors. I mean, has anybody else done that and shot 2,000 photos over throughout the night
Zero.
and get zero?
Exactly.
Why don't the UFOs show up when I'm out there doing that? Oh man.
Well, those really aren't meteors.
Did
Yeah.
you get any, Chuck?
I have one photo of a meteor. Yeah.
What kind of exposure were you using?
I can't remember. I could pull the photo up here. I can't right now. I have to go find it and check it out. I'm doing long exposure actually,
Yeah.
which is the easiest way to catch a meteor. And then at first I was I'd take like 15 or 20 photos and then delete them all rather than have, 150 photos of the night sky.
Sometimes you can only see them after the fact. It's but what problem that I've been having now is with all the satellites. It's like 5 years ago. If you had a satellite in a picture, that was
but it's easy to distinguish a meteor from everything else in the sky. That's one of the things about a meteor. It has its own shape, compared to, dotted lines. Mosman says, I've got a long exposure, but a multi-exposure for star trails, and it looks like some sort of geometry going on in the sky with the planes and everything intersecting in the star trails. Well, there you go. Jim says, I did photograph a UFO and have seen one fairly close in the early 80s. Wow, Jim. You got photos, man. You're going to have to share them. Yeah, like I said, I have been in the backyard. I haven't for a long time, but I mean, back with my D4 and my D5, I would go out there and shoot at night quite often, especially during, the Lyrids or what is it?
Leonids.
Huh?
I think it's David can tell you Leonids.
Yeah. The band UFO. Oh man. Parasites or parasites or whatever it is, and the Lyrid, the two big meteor showers that happen every year. Yeah, I've been out there, and of course the best time to catch it is right before sunrise, and by about 3 a.m, I'm already wore out and forget about it. I ain't staying up. Oh, Rakesh has a photo. He says, photograph where I capture the Falcon 9 with the Milky Way in pre-dawn hours in New Jersey. Wow, that's got to be a cool photo, Rakesh. Tim on a cute probing question. Jim says he spent a little time, spent some time in a little facility in Mercury, Nevada. Okay. Oh man. All right, guys, I'm about ready to wrap it up. Now watch, somebody's going to show up.
Well, the easy way for you to fix that, Chuck, is you just don't allow anybody else in.
Mozman, something tells me we're about to see a lot more UFO photos once AI goes more mainstream. True enough. True enough. Ghost before. No, I have never photographed a ghost. To be honest, I've never seen a ghost.
No, me either.
How come all these things elude me?
They don't want to get stuck in a 10.5 hour chat.
Can you blame them? I guess I can't blame them either. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Hey, Sanjit, good to see you in here again. And thank your lovely wife for being in the chat for you while you were driving. I got to get you in here again one of these Saturday nights. I know you're a busy man, though. All right. To everybody that's in the chat and everybody that was in the chat that may watch this later and finish it up because they left because they're tired. Thank you very much. Again, you folks are what make the community, but not only in the chat. You know, you are always welcome over here in the panel. I love seeing new faces on the panel from time to time. We get to meet more.
Try and get one.
Huh?
I'll try and get one.
That sounds, Bossman, that sounds like purgatory. I'm sorry.
I think that's when you take the down elevator.
Are we talking about Miles Man stuck in purgatory with a 10-hour stream?
It just keeps repeating.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, thank you all that are in the chat. Always a pleasure hosting this and having so many people, different people, and so much information out there. For everybody that's in the panel and that was on the panel, I thank all you folks for joining. And I'm going to give you a chance to say goodbye, good night, or however you want to say it. And but thanks again. This is the community, and this is what makes it fun. Let's start down there in the bottom this time. Let's start with Gustavo. Gustavo, I'll let you wrap it up for yourself here.
Thank you very much for allowing us here to participate, and love the company, and keep shooting.
Thank you very much. Who do we lose? We lost Roy. Roy bailed out before he had to say goodbye.
Roy didn't want to say. Roy believes in short goodbyes, I guess.
He's back. Roy jumped in the corner. He wanted to be first.
Oh, my internet went funny.
All right, Roy. Roy, anything you want to say before we go?
No, not really.
You've been talking all night.
Yeah, I'm busy, aren't I?
All right, Roy. Next Saturday night, you're on. Your time to shine. You and Jeffrey and everybody else that's a film camera.
I've done enough film to know how it works anyway.
Yeah, I'd say you do. You answer a bazillion questions over on Gray's every week. All right, Randall, thank you for joining us. You want to say anything before we go?
No, just always bring a camera with you, even if it's your cell phone. There's always something.
Not your cell phone.
No?
Not the cell phone. They don't count.
Qualify.
What if you get lost? So anyway. But what I'm saying is you just bring a camera with you. You're going to find something to shoot. Video, photographs, whatever.
Yeah.
And, enjoy. And make sure your batteries are charged. And please take the lens cap off first before you
All right, Randall. Thanks again for being in here. David.
Well, it's another great night. We got a nice, great group here. It's great. I got some interesting questions. If anybody wants to contact me directly, send an email to Chuck and he'll forward it on. And I've got U.S. calling, so I don't mind calling my American friends and the other guys too. But anyway, it's been great being here, and it's always good topics of discussion, and I'll just leave it at that before I dig too deep of a hole.
It's always good having you here too, David. I mean, you bring another perspective with all your astrophotography, especially with the aurora stuff. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. And Greg,
David should be very happy at the moment with all the sun activity.
Well, it like I've been having weather problems here. Haven't been having sun problems, been having weather problems, and lots of times is the aurora be good for when it's daylight in the UK, but by the time night in the UK, but by the time it gets dark over here, it's gone. And there's an awful lot of it's hit and miss. Sometimes it lasts for an hour, sometimes it lasts for a number of hours, and it is not as simple. You got to be prepared to get out there, and it's always better in the winter because it's darker longer. A month either side of the summer solstice, it doesn't get dark enough.
Yeah.
And so that this time of the year, when it's great camping weather, you don't go out. So come August and September, I'll be out much more.
Let me thank Greg for the super chat. Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate it. Thanks for you being part of this evening, and hopefully we can continue to do this down the road. But thank you so much again. Like I said, I don't ask for it, but it does help out. I told everybody I thought I had Restream paid for the year, but I failed to realize how much YouTube was going to take. And I'll tell you, you want to make money, buy stock in YouTube or Google because they're making money hand over fist. But anyway, thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate it. And Ted, ATR Bear, thanks, man. Glad to see you in here. A drunk wedding photographer. David, have you been in here the whole time? I hope you heard me say next Saturday night, it's all about film cameras. So get ready. You're on deck. You, Jeffrey, and Roy, key players in next Saturday night. All right. Let's see.
We're really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Randall. Yeah, you're right. I think that's moving forward. I got to figure out how to put it in the thing. Jeffrey, you're up.
I'm up. Yeah, I'm still up, and it's 12:36 a.m.
Yep.
Hey, as always, we always have a lot of people showing up in the chat, and we get silly at times, but that's what makes us human and not robots. So there's nothing wrong with that. And as I always say, enjoy life, capture it, go out and capture some of it, and take whatever you like to take. Portraits, landscapes, macro, birds, aircraft, whatever. Just important to get out there. And believe me, it's good for your mental health to take a break from the daily stresses that you occur at your job and everything, even if it's only a couple hours every once in a while on the weekend. Just get out and do something for yourself. But another good night, and I'll pass it on to Chuck. I got to point the right way here.
All right. And Greg Corker just made a comment. He said he doesn't know why it was 19. I have no idea. I just did that to somebody. I did a super chat for somebody the other day, and it did the same thing. But it doesn't matter. You're right. It's the thought that counts, and it really makes me feel good, Greg, and it does help out. So thank you so much, especially when you guys don't have to do that. That's what makes it so special. But yeah, next Saturday night, just so everybody knows, I'll say it again, we're going to talk about film cameras, and all the other stuff. I have developed my own film. I have developed my own black and white film in-house. I have actually made prints from a homemade enlarger. So that part I know. But when it comes to cameras, I don't know squat. So this is where Roy, Jeffrey, and David, the drunken wedding photographer, and everybody else that knows something about cameras, this is where they get to shine. I get to sit back and eat M&Ms and just enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to next Saturday night. Bring your film and film camera questions to next Saturday's live stream. That's about all I have to say, other than thank you to everyone that did use the super chat. And I got to figure out, this is going to become the coffee fund. I mean, it's more genuine because I guarantee you, I can go through some coffee. So,
And the coffee goes through you too.
it does. It do that, no doubt about it. But thanks to all the wonderful people in the chat again. Thanks to all you on the panel. God bless you all. I'll see everybody that can make it on Wednesday, and we'll set it up again for Saturday night in the film talk. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your weekend. That's not much for you, Roy, I understand, but
Sunday afternoon now.
But then you are partially retired now. So
yes. Partially many things.
All right, everybody. That's a wrap. Thanks for being here. Let's keep the community going. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you are too. See everybody Wednesday if you can make it, or next Saturday night. Take care.